Yes. So much you need to be stable.
I do. Yeah, Leanna was doing it yesterday, but I don't think we could see the
Okay,
keyboard.
why don't you just tell me,
Back that one. Should I be able to see Rick? Good. That look good, Steve, from where you are?
Yeah, and I can see the public.
Okay. Speakers. I know, right? The back of my beautiful head. I check for grace every month, every week.
Right here. Here close, huh? It's all over but the crime. Oh, you got the-
I got small, I just like.
Oh, there's nothing there for you. Sure.
I should buy
I should. It'd be, that would be a conflict for you, Jim, because you're the one driving the cars.
All right, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We can stand for the pledge, followed by a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You. Go ahead the roll call.
Commissioner Robbins.
Here.
Commissioner Walter.
Here.
Commissioner Bunnick. Commissioner Wessel.
Here.
Commissioner Campbell.
You're present.
Commissioner Alguier.
I'm just here.
Chairman Yoder.
Here,
All present.
thank you. Should know, make sure everybody's mics are turned on. With the red light on, so we can hear your lovely voice. With that, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. Cheryl Gard?
Oh, no. I
Oh,
was just
okay, Commissioner Bunnick.
Yes, I would like to move number 6F to in September. And with that adjustment, I would move to approve the agenda as amended.
Support. Supported.
Could I,
Discussion.
yes, I would like to suggest an amendment to the agenda that given that our attorney has informed us that he is neutral on the release of the final investigation and legal opinion regarding our former administrator, I would like to add the documents release as item 6H.
Support. Discussion on that amendment? Mr. Money?
Yeah, it's not gonna release the closed session minutes. That's not what you're talking about. You're just talking about the document that was given to us by our legal counsel.
The whistleblower document, correct?
Right.
So we're gonna vote on this.
It'd be, well, he's voting to amend, or
I'm just trying to amend
the
the
agenda to put it
agenda.
on the agenda,
Yeah,
so.
and my thoughts on that is, the attorney, if this was not done by an attorney, it'd be released. This would all be public information. And we've done everything behind closed doors. And I do think we need to shed some light on the process and let folks help folks to understand why we did what we did. I think that's only fair to the people that we serve, to bring them along with us as we make these decisions and give them as much information as possible.
Yeah, discussion, Mr. Algar?
I'm not in favor of taking the RFP off. It takes months to go through that process, so I don't want to.
Oh, I see.
Well, right now, we're talking on the amendment, not the RFP.
No, but he brought that up, and he jumped to the other.
Well, but we're talking about the amendment to the agenda right now. The original motion has that.
But we never voted on whether to take that off.
We'll get to this after
Right.
this one.
First, we gotta vote on the amendment to go back to the original motion.
Sorry.
So,
Because he amended the motion.
Yeah, you got to vote on the amendment.
I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Campbell. I will vote against that because I believe in protecting the integrity of an investigation. Just for those that are interviewed, I believe in protecting that and keeping that confidential. So that's a trusted process, so. All in favor of that amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Nay. Failed 2-5. And now we're back to the original motion.
I also make then a motion to release only the final page of that document, which has no reference to any of the witnesses, which only is the attorney's opinion. We can look at this, we received this. This is what the final page is. Just so there's no- And my thought process for this is this sums up exactly what was before us. And it does protect all people that review. That's not, they're not part of this opinion, this attorney's opinion that was given to us. It does not, I don't believe that, well, it doesn't affect the integrity of the document. The investigation probably, I would say it adds integrity to the investigation by having these results stem from.
For support to that amendment?
I support that.
All right, discussion on that amendment?
I'm not comfortable without taking purpose for.
Any other discussion? Not, all in favor of that amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay. If you guys want to pass one back, I'll get rid of them. Thank you.
Is that 2-5 again?
Correct, yep.
Thank you.
Chair,
Appreciate
I
it.
didn't hear, what did Will want to move to September?
The 6F,
6th, okay.
which is the RFP for the administrative.
Also was the second.
Moving support, discussion on that then. Mr. Wessel?
I had originally asked for this to be on the agenda. I'm fine with it being moved till September. I think we got a lot on our agenda. I just want to make sure that it's on the agenda in September and we move forward.
Any other discussion?
Like I said, this process takes months and months. I don't like the idea of delay.
Any other discussion? Not, oh. Mr.
Because
Ross.
I look at it, as it's gonna happen sooner or later, so why not talk about it today? I mean, why put it off another month? All we're doing is putting for a
I don't know, month.
bid. September, be November, it's just, you know,
Mr. Money?
Yeah, I talked with Ty about it and I just believe that we need to let things calm down. You know, we need to put our house in order first and focus on immediate issues. And I thought we have authorization or elimination of contracts. We have assuring our finance department has the help that is needed. We have our budget starting, our negotiations, our strategic plan, et cetera. I think that we'll let this whole thing, we're in the headlines of the paper of this week's or last week's, I guess you'd call it. And it just, just give us a month or so to calm down and get our house in order, and then we can start moving forward. I mean, we have a quote in the paper right now saying that we'll never get another one from one of the commissioners. We have other issues that we have to deal with our commissioners that just happened. I believe that we need to let this settle before we start trying to do more.
Mr.
I'd like to say one more thing, just discussing putting out the RFP. We're gonna get busier and busier for the next 2 or 3 months. Putting out an RFP is nothing. Let's get it started before we get into this budget.
Mr. Campbell?
Yeah, I like putting it off I like the idea that by the time we really get into the nuts and bolts of this, most of our budget discussions will have already been held and we'll be almost down to the point of approving the budget if we stay to our schedule. So I think it does create some separation between our financial look at ourselves, which culminates into the budget. And then looking at and get that behind us, and then we can look at a clear road ahead as far as whether that product, well, that would be part of what we would look at too. How smooth does that process go? I like separating the two.
All right, being Commissioner Wessel requested this, I'll honor that and I'll support moving that forward. I think it's good to have at least a discussion of it, public knows that we're at least, started the discussion of it, type of thing, that's coming in September. So I'll support that. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
nay,
Motion carried 5-2. All right, we have an agenda. Next up, we have conflicts of interest. Do we have any commissioners here that have a conflict with items on the agenda today? Commissioner Robbins?
60, I need to excuse myself, I've had legal dealings with this case and I'm just putting the best I know part of it.
All right, is there consensus on the board for that?
I didn't hear what you said.
I've had legal, I'm not part of this investigation, but I've had other legal involvement with this subject and probably be best to keep it clean.
Would a motion be in order? To allow Mr. Allow Rick to not vote on that. I think that's usually the protocol. And I would make that motion that we.
Well, I'm moving that I don't go in closed session. I'm moving that I don't even go in closed session.
He wouldn't be present.
Oh, so we can do that when we make the motion, go into closed session. Okay.
Okay, everybody, is there a consensus on that? All right, seeing consensus, we'll move on to communications. And up first, we have an update from our interim administrator, Lauren.
Thank you. Good morning. My update will be a bit on the brief side. We've had a few documents come through ready for the next steps. We've had a few projects that are moving forward. The first thing that I'd like to say is we have a new executive assistant in administration, Jenny Herman. Today is her first day, and she is very bravely running the meeting from the desk today. She's an internal hire. She comes to us with many years of experience in the planning department as a senior planner. And I just have a lot of gratitude for a skilled internal candidate like Jenny. So you'll be seeing a lot more of her. Looking forward to you all getting to know her and working with her, as well as having the support in administration to not just keep things afloat, but to move things forward in administration. So a big welcome to Jenny. Next, we get the regular, we will be hearing from Therese with Fishback. She'll be doing a training and an overview of the brownfield plan that is moving forward. So you'll be getting a lot more details about the status of that plan and what to expect moving forward. We have several RFPs that are going to be closing in the next, like between now and the next time we meet. So probably the biggest one is for our enterprise resource planning system, which is a comprehensive finance and HR and timekeeping suite that'll be used across the campus. So we're answering questions and looking forward to seeing what proposals come in with that. And when we do get those proposals, we'll know a range of what to put into budget and what to expect in 26, 27, and 28. Another RFP that's going to be closing in the next couple of weeks is our benefits broker. We've been getting a lot of questions on that, so I will anticipate several proposals coming in. And again, those will be, could be before you in September, at least to narrow down. The last RFP that is going to be closing in the next couple of weeks is for the jail lighting and control systems. That's been a long time coming. And we will have the proposals back in time to plug all of that into budget as well. This week we received a draft back from legal on the civil infraction ordinance. This has been a long time coming and will really benefit building safety as well as the conservation district. I could possibly have it before you for consideration in September. We're really trying to make sure we understand the implementation so that it is very thoughtful and planned. So we're going to be meeting quite a bit with Amber, with Jake, with the conservation district, and with legal to make sure that that process is very clear moving forward. We also received a draft of the ethics and complaint policy that's been ongoing for months. And that will require at least one more meeting with that committee for any further edits, but it's looking really good, and that'll be a policy hopefully ready for you in September, if not October, for approval or adoption. Finance team is really hustling to get budget put together, and it's pretty close to done. We've received all of our numbers back from departments and outside entities. And they've been really putting in some long hours to get that budget prepared for your review. And we anticipate that that'll be ready for printing in the next probably 10 days, maybe less. We're going to be talking about credit cards again today. And in September, we will have a commercial card, several options for your review and consideration for a comprehensive one umbrella plan for Leelanau County purchasing. So that'll be in front of you in September. And that is it for my update today.
Questions, Warren? You referenced it in your update, but the status of the opioid.
Yes. So the opioid RFP was approved by BOC some time ago. And in conversations with Amy Delinky with MAC, who is just a treasure trove of information and knowledge on this process. There is some homework that needs to be done as far as what the previous commissions have done to authorize the acceptance and use of opioid settlement dollars. There is a very clear path including a resolution and the establishment of a committee with experts to provide input into this document, so that when we release it, it's again as thorough as we can make it with our intentions on how we would like to use these dollars. And that is just gonna take some research, and another reason why I'm very grateful now to have Jenny, which will hopefully give some margin for me to do a lot of research and background history to make sure that if I present a resolution that it hasn't been produced twice, that if we do a committee, just to make sure that all of the I's are dotted and T's are crossed so that we do this properly. So I will ask for your a bit more patience getting this out. We do have a roadmap. It's just gonna take some time to get that document put together in a way that's exactly what we want it to be.
We're looking at September, maybe,
I would really like to have it in front of you in September.
because we have a number of agencies and groups that are waiting on
Yes.
that.
Yes,
The other thing, I was wondering, when you talked about the civil infractions, I would like to see it go before the building and safety committee. That's where, usually that is brought up because it is gonna involve building and safety.
is that something that requires a separate motion to direct me to have that committee meet?
No, as the chairman, I'd just like to, of that committee, I'd like to have that meeting to look at that for building and safety.
Certainly.
If I recall, I think that was consensus at our last building and safety committee meeting that would come back there.
Okay.
Correct.
Great.
Any other questions? Mr. Robbins?
First of all, I'd like to give attaboy to for the persons next door the last couple of weeks. Maybe Lauren can add a little bit to it, but we had an issue with our vacation time. It was overbooked like 886 hours, like about $30,000 what it cost us. But we had an employee come forward, thanks God they have integrity around here, and came forward to let us know that they overbooked 886 hours extra vacation time. Is there anything we can do for that employee? Give him a personal day, or is this gonna happen again, or?
Perhaps Rio can take come up to the table and speak on that as well. It's, in my understanding, a once a month accrual that needs to, because of the system that we have, it's a very manual system. And so once a month accruals for all the 24/7 operations, their vacation time accrues. And then that manually needs to be removed so it no longer accrues in the subsequent payrolls. It's my understanding that that had not been removed, and so instead of an accrual occurring monthly, it accrued for an additional payroll. So that has been remedied, the pay stubs are correct. And it wouldn't be within policy for me to grant extra time, but perhaps Rio can just give like an overview on what happened there and the remedy for that.
Yeah, so every single month we have an accrual, and so it should be set up that it accrues monthly. Sadly, Harris was accruing it on a pay period basis. In July, we have 3 pay periods. Usually we only have 2. And so it was being accrued every pay period rather than on that monthly scale. And so we had to go in and we had to fix that. It's simply checking a button. If you didn't know, you had to check a button to fix that and send it out. That was what was happening. So we've remedied it, we've identified it, and this pay period that we're currently in processing now is being corrected for those hours that are being mentioned.
So what measures do we have now so it doesn't happen again? What's the checks and
Correct.
balances?
So the review in place is that Harris was accruing it and we review it in total. And so we just didn't realize that it was already populating it well. So we added another review process to our instructions to make sure that we're reviewing that in depthly line by line.
So the next question, if this employee had to come forward, would we have caught it at some point?
We would have got it, yeah. So we do a review to make sure that everything is checked on the monthly, and we would realize that the hours that they're getting is more than what they should be. And so we would have caught it, we just wouldn't have caught it as quickly. No problem.
Questions?
I just have to say, human error is guaranteed
Yeah.
in life.
Mhm.
And we've been real hard on it the last year. But that's one of the things we can always expect is that crap happens and you fix it. That's how we learn.
And we'll always be quick to put it out there. We'll always be quick to remedy it, and happy to answer any questions about that. And thanks for the grace for allowing us to correct that, anything that comes across as far as payroll and benefits.
And I really appreciate that you're not trying to hide it, just to.
Questions? All right, now we'll move on to our next communication, which is from MSU Extension, and we got Jennifer here. Looks like we got the whole team here as well.
Excuse me, almost the whole team. We've got some vacation and some staff that are out today, but pretty darn close, so thank you. So again, hello, welcome. My name is Jennifer Berkey. You've seen me come here before. I'm the District 3 Director for MSU Extension, and today's my job is to present our annual set of accomplishments as a Leelanau County team working in your county. Next slide, please. So again, just a reminder, a quick reminder of how we're funded. We're funded on 4 main ways. So through our partnership with Leelanau County, which we value greatly. We're also funded from state, federal, and grant being our largest source of funding. And again, just our charge as a university is to bring the knowledge to the people, recognizing that not everyone has a chance to travel downstate to go to the university to learn. And as an entity, that is our main responsibility, is to bring that knowledge from our research stations, from our great nation to back to the people. And so here we are today as an organization. So that's our greatest charge. And for every dollar that you invest in our work, it leads to at least $6 in programs and services back into the county. Next slide, please. So just on the header of our annual report, I always like to talk in numbers, and then we'll do some more storytelling during our time together. So again, you're going to see there for your Leelanau County residents, they've accessed 259 unique programs and services that we offer. So that would be the equivalent of us coming into this room and offering a program every other day. So again, residents can access our programs sitting on their tractor. They can do it at their home, watching a video or a class online. You as commissioners participated in New Commissioner School, where it was partly asynchronous learning from your home and then some time in a class in Grayling. So again, that's just the way that we've adopted our model. I like to call it MSU Extension on Demand, where you can access our programs and services from wherever it's convenient for you. We reach 3,945 residents through direct programming. That doesn't include individuals that would potentially attend a health fair, or wouldn't include people that maybe have clicked on a video and watched that. We can't capture some of that information directly, but that's just information where we've collected Leelanau County residency from those participants. We've reached over 96,380 individuals through our 2 different social media pages. And again, those are unique page views. They're not necessarily individuals, but it would be individuals accessing that particular page. We track the number of times that people visit our page, and that's through our 2 Facebook pages, both our Leelanau County page and our Leelanau County 4-H page. So again, those are ways that we push out news bulletins, we push out videos, we push out offerings for people to register. So those are the different ways that we reach folks as well. Next slide, please. And you can click through the next one as well. So these are our team that's working within agriculture. So we have a whole host of staff that participate in our agriculture space. The nice thing about our work is that we're rooted again in our community. Obviously, agriculture is an important part of Leelanau County. And so I always like to start with the research station. So you are lucky beneficiaries of having a MSU Extension research facility right in your own county. Again, that's grower owned, but MSU managed, where Dr. Nikki Rockwell and her team provide valuable inputs to our local growers on tart cherry, sweet cherry, and then apple production as well. The slide you're seeing is reflective of the work that Nikki's done. She and her team launched a kind of a tour for local growers to learn more about technology and how they can embed that into their growing practices. And they also expanded and added a diagnostic wing at the research station where they got more laboratory equipment where they can test more on apples, some apple pests that exist. And so again, that's a great addition to the research station as well. Next slide, please. We were very pleased last summer. Again, this is reflective of some of the work we did last year. So I know they've crowned a new industry person of the year, but in 2025, Dr. Nikki Rothwell was nominated by her peers and recognized as the cherry industry person of the year, which is the highest honor in the cherry industry and much deserved. Again, Nikki opens up the station each year during the National Cherry Festival, welcoming 2,500 visitors to the station so they can learn more about that valuable work that we do as an organization in Leelanau County with our tart cherry and apple growers. So again, warm welcome and congratulations to Nikki, much deserved. So next slide, please. And Dr. Chris Bardenhagen isn't here today. He's one that is on vacation, but again, he works in the farm business management space. So he works with local growers to help them on succession planning, tax issues. So again, his job is to be the fiscal side of helping growers be profitable. Obviously, being a farmer is a very hard business for folks to be in. So we try to give them all the tools that we can. And Chris works very hard with our local growers. He's done multiple cost of production studies, which is a wonderful resource for local growers to say, okay, what is it that I need? What are the inputs? How do I make this business be profitable? So again, a big thanks to having Chris Bardenhagen on our team here right in Leelanau County. Next slide, please. Agribility is another great program that's led by Sam Wolf, who's housed in Benzie County. So Sam works with local growers who are potentially experiencing some challenges maintaining their profession as a grower. So potentially their arm has some arthritis in it and they no longer can do a particular maybe movement to be able to continue to farm in place. So Sam, through her work with Agribility, and has local grants. And then we also team up with MSU staff who invent things, if you will, for people to be able to continue to farm in place. So she provides adaptations so that they can continue to potentially do that as a profession. So again, Sam Wolf does that through our Agribility work as well. Next slide, please. So coupling farm stress with our fiscal work that we do is important to us, recognizing that local growers have one of the highest levels of stress and suicide of any occupation on record. And so again, we couple our farm stress program. So Dr. Remington Rice, who's housed in Benzie County, he teams up with Chris Bardenhagen, and Chris will do the fiscal side of it. And then we team that up with Dr. Remington Rice, and he provides the farm stress education side of it. So through local programs and teletherapy, we provide local growers with the support they need to continue to manage their stress as they navigate that personally. So again, just very grateful for Dr. Rice's work in combination with obviously Chris Bardenhagen's. Next slide, please. Viticulture, again, is another important part of what we do. So working with our local wine grape growers. So again, Ismail works locally with them and he provides a tremendous amount of updates. We obviously partnered last year to deliver Dirt to Glass, which is a signature viticulture event teaching growers the best practices, but Ismail does it all year round. Next slide, please. I know there's the picture there of that cold wine grape in the winter that we don't want to think about on this beautiful summer day rather. But again, Ismail led a pruning workshop on probably the coldest year that I can remember in January at the Orchard and Vineyard Show. And again, that picture reminds me that, of the hard work that he does. So doing some pruning and doing a pruning workshop in the middle of winter is really showing kind of some dedication there to our local growers as well. So again, elevating their work specifically in how to make the best wine grapes that we can for our region is important. Next slide, please. So again, if you walked in, you saw again the beautification of your garden outside. So again, our Extension Master Gardener volunteers continue to work locally. You can see here that we had 633 volunteer hours on let me double check the number of projects, 12 sites, and it values at $22,877. So again, another thank you to that team that provides that beautification for your community. Just a reminder, our Extension Master Gardeners can't come and weed your garden. The whole purpose of Extension Master Gardeners is to provide a public value, so they can work on public sites, they can do education and outreach and food gleaning. And so again, those multiple sites that they worked on in Leelanau County continues to invest that education back in your community. So a big thank you to our Extension Master Gardeners and Nate's leadership on that. Next slide, please. So next we have hops, and obviously Rob's here to always answer questions if you need to. But again, Rob continues to support our hops industry in Leelanau. He continues to provide research and outreach on important issues facing hop growers like quality and disease. I know some of the work that he's done locally is helping to host hops webinar series, which provides bi-weekly updates to growers as well as monthly hops reports for local growers. Rob received a grant on how to do research on how to increase the sales of Michigan grown hops and throughout the region. So again, kind of continuing to keep that industry directed is helpful by him. He also supported and presented at 2 hop statewide conferences this past winter. He's helping to provide cutting edge information for hops growers in the craft brew industry to learn more about trends and best practices. Next slide, please. And there's some more pictures of the work that Rob's done as well. So some of the conferences he's been at, and it's a tough job to do all that tasting on flower and the flavor and aroma attributes. So glad he takes one for the team. Next slide, please. Again, we have Danny here today. He's taking a break from fair, so he's probably happy to be in air conditioned for a couple of hours here, but fair is going on right now at this week. So thanks to Danny for traveling back and forth to the fairgrounds. Next slide, please. And I know I say this every time I come in front of the board, but I'm very proud of the 4-H program that you have here. We probably have the most diverse and robust 4-H program in any of my 6 counties. So I want to just give a special shout out to Danny for kind of adding new things and keeping some of the older traditions that are important to us alive. You can see here, obviously 4-H provides an opportunity for you to develop job readiness skills. And you see the tractor safety, again, as a cornerstone of the programs that we do here, where youth have a chance to get their tractor safety certificate. So it's their first opportunity to be able to contribute and to get a position or a job here locally in the county as well. Danny was able to bring back the ski and snowboard program after a brief hiatus due to staffing challenges at the homestead. So a thanks to Danny for navigating that and getting that program back online. He also hosted 2 embryology programs, again, teaching youth about science and getting some livestock education, if you will, through the embryology program. And so big thanks to him. That was done at 2 different schools in Leelanau as well. Next slide, please. Exploration Days is a chance for your area youth to go down and experience what it's like to be a student at MSU. They get to choose their classes. They get to stay in the dorms, which may or may not be fun if you have memories of staying on dorms in East Lansing, but the youth love it. And so they go down with chaperones. Leelanau County coordinates the busing for our region. So a big thanks to Danny for doing that as well. But again, area youth had a chance to go down and learn on campus and have a chance to participate in a myriad of classes that they were interested in. Next slide, please. And back to that too, on Exploration Days, youth get a chance to earn scholarships by attending these programs to attend college at MSU, which is always nice for them to get that as well. And there's Danny standing with our inflatable Sparty at the livestock auction last year. So again, just a reminder, this Thursday is the livestock auction. So your area youth will be auctioning off their prize winning, award winning animals. Again, this is a great way for them to learn business skills. Many of you are business owners, so you recognize that youth are learning important skills like how to do marketing, how to recruit buyers, how to have a cost, how to figure out what their break-even point is, how to turn a profit on this animal project so that they can put that money into their pocket for whatever they're saving for. So again, our livestock program is a great way for you to learn business skills while also learning animal care. Next slide, please. So again, just some more notable pictures from the fair last year. So one thing that I like to talk about is the giving back. So our area buyers are very generous with our youth. And last year, 9 junior beef projects were purchased and donated back to youth to continue as large beef projects. And again, our youth get some of the highest costs per pound of their animals. And again, it's just a testament to your local community that comes out and raises their bidding sheets for sure. Next slide, please. So some more notable events on 4-H. So again, our pop-up farm market. So again, I would encourage you, if you're interested in going to those, our schedule is out, Tanya, correct? And so we would hope that if you're interested in attending our Leelanau County pop-up farm markets, what's nice about this is your area youth get a chance to purchase small little food items from your local growers. So the growers come and they sell their wares and youth get a chance to learn where their food comes from. We bring the cider press from the research station and they take locally grown apples and turn it into cider, and the youth get a cup of cider to try, recognizing that's where their food is coming from, is grown right here in the farm in the county. So again, a big thank you to our team that coordinates that. That's all team effort. Tanya, Danny, Nate, and Rob, again, coordinate that, and all area schools participate, which is nice. Next slide, please. So I'm wrapping it up, I promise, Jerry. So I always like to talk about our work with strong communities. And again, this is the area where we like to focus on too as well. Next slide, please. So this is the time when we get a chance to partner with municipalities and obviously also our economic work. Oh, next slide, sorry. So our product center work is probably some of the most robust numbers that we have. These are actual Leelanau County numbers. These are not district numbers. So this is actual businesses that we work with in Leelanau County. Again, just a reminder, what our product center does is they take food-based business ideas from idea to marketplace. And last year we worked with 11 different businesses in Leelanau County and provided 61 counseling hours, which yields 6 jobs created and 2 jobs retained. These businesses that we interface with have over $3.2 million in annual sales in Leelanau County. Recognized a $117,000 sales growth, affected 77 employees, and there was $835,000 in capital formation there. Yes. And so again, just a recognition that our product center staff work from all across the state with your Leelanau County residents. If someone had a question about packaging, we would likely team up with the packaging unit at MSU Extension and help them figure out their packaging issue. If they have a processing question, they might participate in our FPIC operation, which is down in East Lansing as well. So we bring the knowledge repository from all across the state to help your local entrepreneurs develop these new products. So again, just a recognition of their hard work. Next slide, please. So working with local policy education, I'm going to double check my notes on this just to make sure I get this. I know Mary Riley, who's housed in Manistee County, works locally here as well. She taught laws to farm stands last year at the Small Farm Conference, which is Getting to Know Michigan Right to Farm Act and GAMP. So again, just bringing that knowledge to these conferences as well. Mary is also a key part of the new commissioner school training, which I know I've talked about in previous years, but again, just another piece of what we do with local municipalities. I know she's done some training in the planning department as well previously. So if that's something that you're ever interested in, Mary could definitely come up locally. And obviously our Sea Grant program continues to work with coastal communities. Obviously, we're kind of at a good balance right now with water levels, so we've not brought Mark Breederland in here recently to talk about that. But should you ever be interested in more of an update on water levels and what's happening locally on that, Mark would be your go-to person. Next slide, please. And I always like to end by saying thank you. Without your partnership with us, we couldn't share this great work. And on behalf of our team, I'm just presenting on them. And also I want to give a shout out to Tanya, who helped to develop this beautiful report. And she did a lovely job editing it and getting it to look all fancy for you. So thank you, Tanya, for your hard work on that. But again, without your partnership with us, we couldn't do this great work. So thank you.
Any questions for Jennifer? Great job. No questions.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for your work.
All right, with that, we'll move on to Wednesday, Leelanau District Health Department with Dan.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Dan Thrall, the health officer for Leelanau District Health Department, just here to give you our annual update, and you got the 2025 annual report in your packet, and I handed out some paper copies. So 2025 was a bit of a challenging year for Leelanau District Health Department. We had some federal budget cuts that led to about $700,000 in reduced revenue, about 10% of our budget. And, we had to, because of that, we had to immediately reduce staffing by about 4 FTEs through attrition and a hiring freeze. We did end up having to lay one person off. And the state budget was not completed until the first week of October. You all remember that, so that was fun. 3 months after deadline. And then we did all this with a new finance director who was on the job for about 30 days when all this started happening. So, and I start with that because I just want to say, despite all these challenges, our staff stepped up to cover vacancies in personal health. Everybody did more with less, and they didn't complain. They just did their jobs. And I just am so appreciative of that, and just recognize the hard work that our staff does every day. Also, the affected schools, because a lot of this funding had to do with school nursing, stepped up and contracted with Leelanau District Health Department to maintain nursing, which just tells me that the value, right, that's there with that program, with that staff. Michelle Klein, our personal health director, who's sitting in the front row right here, was awarded state recognition as a leader in public health nursing during that time. We had other staff that completed certifications, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees. And at the Benzie office, we had a public health infrastructure grant and did a pretty large renovation on our environmental health and administrative space. So, and then we also implemented some new permitting and inspection software for environmental health during that time. So, I guess my point is that, despite the challenges that we face, we still found a way to move forward. And, a lot of that is due to our exceptional staff. So I'm not going to go through like every statistic in the annual report. You can look at that and ask any questions, but I do want to talk about some trends. Mainly we'll start with personal health. The immunization program is really a pillar of our mandated public health programs. Because of our staff reductions that we had to do, we did have to curtail the number of respiratory and immunization clinics that we normally hold in the fall. They went down, they dropped basically by about 28%, which resulted in less vaccines administered by the health department during that time period. The good news is this did not have a huge impact on the number of residents getting vaccinated, looking at the data, but it made it a little bit harder for them. Right, because access to care is a big deal, and that's something that we monitor and look at and gauge. And so that just meant they had to go elsewhere, maybe into Traverse City to go see their primary care physician, or go to a pharmacy or something like that. We like to be able to provide those services here for the residents of Leelanau County, and to provide that access, but we simply could not at that time. I do also want to talk about childhood immunization rates. I've been here before and kind of talked about that and what's going on in that arena. We have declined. If you look at prior to 2020, we were at about 75 to 80% for childhood immunizations. And we went to 59% in 2021 and 2022, mainly because of the pandemic. But that coverage, has not bounced back to that 75 to 80%. We have come back. We're at about 61%, and we're slightly above the Michigan average. So this is like part of a larger trend statewide and nationwide. Specifically for measles, mumps, and rubella, which is something that, I'm concerned about because we are seeing outbreaks in other, in Michigan, other parts of the country. We did see an increase in coverage to 75.7%. It's similar to the Michigan average of about 77%, but it remains below the 95% we would want to see for really good coverage to prevent sustained measles outbreaks. So something of note is we are much higher than the state. We're actually ranked 77th in the state for immunization waivers. So we're at about 14%. The state is about 7%. So that's something of note. So we are almost double the statewide average for that. And so what does that mean? It just means that more people are opting out of getting those important childhood vaccines. And it just puts us at a little bit higher risk for something like a measles outbreak, you know. And so what are we doing about that? You know, we promote, you know, routine childhood immunizations through, you know, healthcare provider partnerships. We're using state immunization data to identify and recall children that are overdue for vaccinations. Just say, hey, you're overdue, let them know, you know, if you would like to come in, you know, please do. We also work collaboratively with schools and childcare providers. And then we provide evidence-based education to parents regarding vaccine safety and effectiveness. And we monitor the local immunization and waiver trends and try to identify some targeted outreach and prevention efforts. One thing is that our waiver process has changed. We've gone to more of an online standardized process. So that is giving, it's a partnership with U of M, and that is giving standardized information to parents that would like to get waivers, but the education about vaccines is much more standardized and evidence-based. So it's more consistent, I guess, from that standpoint. It gives it, they still have to come in and see us, but they're able to go through this education process, you know, in the comfort of their own home. So we're kind of monitoring that, looking to see how that's working, but it's working well for our staff too. And a big piece of that is just that consistency. So some other things to mention is our maternal infant health program is trending up, and our WIC program is holding steady over time. You know, in the report, I put trend numbers because I just didn't want to put numbers from 2025. What does that really mean? So looking at the trends, we are holding steady, but I will say that WIC is significantly down from our pre-2020 levels, which we were at about 1,300 clients accessing WIC benefits, and now we're at about 700. So it is significantly down. And anecdotally, some of the things that we could point to is maybe lack of housing for young families. And I think, you know, we do know people that are moving out of the area because of that, those families that would be accessing WIC. So Children's Special Health Care Services has increased significantly, and that's partly due, you know, we have a staff person in that program that is just doing exceptional work. But it's also due to more awareness and expansion of the program for expanded to young adults up to 26. It was at 21 was the cutoff. And this is helping folks navigate that particular program. It's for kids that have really significant diagnoses. There's over 2,000 diagnoses that are covered. Things like childhood cancer and you know, other genetic diseases that are long-term, right? So some of our environmental health trends, I like to just mention how many licensed food establishments that we have in Leelanau County. We have 126, and we have 16 food trucks. Septic and well evaluations, which, you know, is new to Leelanau County since 2023. But from 2024 to 2025, we're up about 26% in the number of evaluations that were done. And we're still, you know, there's a slight decrease in the number of the unsatisfactory rate, meaning the systems that we've looked at that are not conforming or non-conformance. And that's at about 15%. It started out, it was like 16, 17. I expect, just like what happened in Benzie County, that is going to go down over time. You know, the more systems that we look at, the more that get upgraded and addressed, that rate will go down. And the rate for wells is not quite as high. It's at 3.74%. As far as like septic and well permitting, you know, we have been kind of steadily increasing. We had a really high time right after the pandemic, like 21, 22. There was a lot of people, I mean, we all experienced this, right? That remote workers and whatnot that just wanted to get out and move to Northern Michigan. And we had a huge number of permits that we saw at that time. And I can tell you 2025 was very similar to those years. And as 2026 is looking, I mean, we are extremely busy, extremely busy. So the housing, construction market, which is septic and well permits are kind of a barometer of that, is very strong. I want to get into our financials a little bit. After all the financial challenges we had in the spring of 2025, I just really, again, need to give our leadership team a lot of credit for adapting and adjusting to the situation. As I mentioned, our finance director, Shelley Jablon, was only in her position for a month when all that happened, and she just, stepped up and did a great job. We actually finished the year with a surplus of 141,000, which is amazing to me in that time period. And that was really due to a lot of the staffing decisions that we had to make. And we did have that renovation project that I mentioned. We did actually finish that project under budget. And I'll say it again, we finished a construction project under budget, which doesn't get said a lot, right? So that was great. Overall, our fund balance, we have a healthy fund balance. We're at about 1.6 million, which is about 20% of our expenditures. And that exceeds really the GASB recommendation of around 17%. We're good in that arena. We do anticipate that this year we did have to, we budgeted using a little bit of fund balance in 2026 to balance. But we appreciate your support through local appropriations. It's greatly appreciated. It's, even though it's a small part of our overall budget at 7.2%, they're really important because most of the funding that we get is through grants, state grants and federal grants, and they're very siloed. They're not flexible. Local dollars are flexible, so we can use that to kind of, plug it in where we need it. And then we can also use it for Medicaid match. So for every, we can get $2 for every $1 invested in that way. So, and that goes right back, into the community. And so, it's really effective and it's something that we really appreciate. Looking ahead, going into this next fiscal year, I had sent a letter, I think back in June. Our Board of Health approved the request for a 3% increase in local appropriations to keep up with cost of living and some of our expenditures here at the health department. For instance, our IT expenditures, software expenditures have gone up about 7% in the last year. So that's just kind of, looking forward. I know you're going into your budgeting period very soon, if you haven't already started. And just something worth mentioning too, is we found out recently that we are getting about a 1% cut from the state in our essential local public health funding, which is our mandated programs, and about a 2% cut from Eagle in those, some of those programs that we do as well. So I just mentioned that because I think it puts the burden back on the counties, right? It's supposed to be a 50-50 cost share. That's the way that, public health is supposed to be in Michigan. And we did catch up a few years ago, but without sustained inflationary adjustments, we'll just continue to fall behind, right? So it's something that we advocate for through our association, the Michigan Association of Local Public Health, with our legislators to just make sure, like, hey, this is written in the Michigan Public Health Code that we need a 50%, it's a 50-50 cost share. And that's all we're asking for, is just to maintain that. So that's really all I have. I know Michelle and Klein and Hannah Greenidge are coming back next month, I believe, to give the report on parenting communities and the child share program, but Michelle's here. If you have any questions about that specifically, she can answer those, or I can answer anything else.
Any questions, Mr. Allgaier?
I would love to thank all of the incredible people in our health department. They work as a team. They're all heart-centered people that care and reach out, and their mission is to keep our people healthy. So thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Michelle, who's been with the health department, how long?
30 years, yeah.
Will be leaving us at the end of the year.
Yeah.
The part of me that loves retirement goes yay, and the other part goes darn.
I'm not saying darn yet.
But thank you very much for your service. And as always, I have to say, I'm disappointed with the vaccination trend. And I'm sure hope that you like healthy,
That's something we, continue to work on.
not your fault.
No, but we're here as a resource for anybody. I mean, and I don't, and honestly, I've said this before, people get information from a lot of different sources these days, and I don't blame anybody for, having questions or questioning safety or anything like that, because there is, a parent's number one concern is the safety of their child. So if there's any doubts, I completely get that. And I would just invite anybody, our staff is very welcoming and respectful of different opinions or whatever, just to have that conversation if they'd like to talk about it, so anytime.
And that's what I was wondering about. You said that, is that Leelanau Benzee is 14%, of waivers?
Yes,
State average is 7.
that was actually Leelanau County, that was Leelanau County specifically. Actually, Benzie's actually a little bit higher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And the reasoning behind that, usually, do you know why people are looking? Is it because of COVID, or what do you think?
I think there is a multitude of reasons. Part of it is COVID and everything that happened through that. And I think, there's been some trust that has been lost in public health, during that time period, which we were working hard to, build that trust back. And like I mentioned, I think, there is, information, if you Google, vaccine safety, I mean, you're going to get all kinds of different information from all different kinds of different angles. And so, yeah, and I think there's just a lot of more questions these days, more concerns. And then, on the, just the political, it's just become more political, I think, too. Whether you're for vaccines or against or whatever, it just seems to be drawn along these political lines, which, I wish it wasn't, but that's the reality of what it is right now. And like I said, we're always open to conversations with people and, welcome that conversation. And we may not, we may just agree to disagree, or, if we have the opportunity to talk about it and change somebody's mind, then great. But if we don't, then, we've tried, right? And that's the way I look at it. It's just, respecting people's opinions, having an honest conversation, and just, trying to do our best to improve that from our standpoint.
So there's no mandate for vaccines now?
Oh, there is. So that when I was talking about that waiver rate, there's for school age children, there is a mandate for vaccines for that, but you can get a waiver if you don't want the vaccines, right? So it can either be, a religious or philosophical waiver or medical waiver, right? For whatever reason. And parents, they have that option. They can decide whether they want their kids to be vaccinated or not. Of course, from a public health standpoint, we believe it's very important to be vaccinated to prevent preventable diseases, right? And my biggest, things that keep me awake at night are like a big measles outbreak in a public school. I mean, that would be very challenging and preventable, and not something that I want to see happen.
Within your report, this children's special health care, that one, it went from 84 to 185 over 3 years. And then with WIC down, which to me means fewer kids.
Mhm.
But what is that?
Well, yeah, maybe,
It's not-
Yeah.
Michelle is really more of the
Page
expert
7,
on that.
it's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll have Michelle come up here.
Okay.
It's basically, like I said, it's a state insurance program for kids that have diagnoses for chronic diseases. And there are specific diagnoses, and I'll let you
Right, and there
explain it a
are-
little bit more.
So what we're doing is supporting these kids with special healthcare needs. So it could be anything from diabetes, cancers, congenital issues that last generally lifelong. So we do a lot of care coordination for them when they're seeing a lot of specialists. They have to go down to U of M and DeVos, and they need transportation and housing and all the things. So we spend a lot of time doing care coordination for those families and individuals. And what he's referring to is it used to be until 24, at age 21, we had to discharge them from the
Oh.
program. And then they changed that up to age 26. So, so that increased our numbers some. And then we also just have had the luxury of having a new nurse do this program who's really good at it and connects very well with families. So that's also added to our numbers.
And because I know you're part of this team, and I appreciate so much that your fiscal challenges didn't become our fiscal challenges. I mean, because really, it was rather seamless from this side. We didn't get requests for more money or like that. And you guys handled it. And that had to be everybody on board and everyone agreed, we have a fiscal challenge and we're gonna all solve it together. So I can give you guys much kudos for that. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we're taking turns at the switchboard.
Yeah. We all do everything. We
Right.
need to answer the phones, we're answering the phones and scheduling appointments, right? Yeah, we're starting to, we have a couple of nursing positions posted now. I'm excited about that. And we are rebuilding our community health workforce as well through some rural health transformation funding. So I feel like we're starting to build back some of what we lost.
Thank
Do you
you.
have any other questions for Dan or Michelle? All right, seeing none, appreciate the update. And
Yeah,
all
thank you. Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to our first round of public comments. We'll have 1 minute items of general topics of county concern, and then we'll move to 3 minutes agenda specific. Do we have any members or public that wishes to give 1 minute public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on up. Yeah.
I think I can be quick. Hi, my name is Dana Getzinger, Elmwood Township. And what I want to talk to you today about is love. And I think a woman supporting her husband is a wonderful thing. My husband passed this December. So when I witnessed a woman who truly loves her husband and was brave enough to demonstrate that in a public comment, it touched my heart. We all know that public speaking is terrifying to most people. Her love made her attend the meeting and speak up for him. We hear lots of folks saying they support law enforcement, but when it actually comes down to supporting law enforcement, they make statements that demean the wife of a law enforcement member in our county. She has demonstrated to me what real support looks like. Thank you, Tammy. Your husband is fortunate to have you. And I also want to tell all of you guys that I respect you in the jobs you do. It doesn't mean I always agree, but it doesn't mean I don't respect you. And I hope you have the same for each other. And I also just want to thank Rick Robbins, because when my husband passed, he went over to his shop, removed the snow from a very steep driveway, brought his truck, loaded my husband's walnut in it, and took it down to my son-in-law free of charge in Oxford, Michigan. I want to thank you for being a community person who helps others out. Thank you.
Any other public that wants to do 1 minute? That will move to 3 minutes agenda specific. Mr. Gossage, state which agenda you're addressing.
That would be the administrative search. Good morning, Commissioners. I appreciate the board's recent efforts to stabilize county operations and move Leelanau County forward. Before approving an RFP for administrator recruitment, I hope you will spend some time answering a few fundamental questions. How much more time and money will we spend finding a new county administrator without first understanding if the current interim administrator, Lauren Seifer, already has the experience and skill sets to perform the role successfully? Lauren has been overseeing county administration for 3 years through the turmoil brought by this administrator search. Several members of this current board have spent over $1 million to find an administrator over the past several years without success. Several of you chose Jim Dyer, and we know where that led us. Currently, Lauren has departments working together to support the needs of the county. She and the county staff have prepared a successful audit, rebuilt the finance department, and are righting the ship in the aftermath of Jim Dyer. The least this board can do is to give her a chance to succeed as interim administrator, establish clear goals for this position going forward, and provide Lauren with a year to achieve these goals. In a relatively small community with independent elected officials and experienced department heads, perhaps the most effective administrator is less of a CEO and more of a facilitator and collaborator, someone who builds relationships, keeps departments working together, brings opportunities and problems to the board, and carries out the board's policy decision. There's also a question of timing. After months of controversy and disruption, it would be wise to allow county operations to stabilize before committing to a formal executive search. A short period of stability would give the board a better opportunity to evaluate how the current structure is working, how employees and elected officials are functioning together, and what qualities the county needs in the next administrator. So before deciding whom to recruit, please decide what you are recruiting for and establish objectives of success. Realistically consider whether Lauren doesn't have these attributes before spending more of our taxpayer money on this recruiting exercise, especially based on your past performance. Those are the kind of measures that let the board evaluate performance based on results rather than personalities. You unanimously appointed Lauren Seifer interim administrator in June and unanimously extended her appointment in July. She stepped into an extraordinarily difficult situation. If you decide to move forward with a professional search, certainly consider outside candidates, but consider the stability that the interim administrator is currently providing and whether she has the skill sets to support this role. This is not NASA. This isn't NVIDIA. This is a county government. Thank you.
Any other public comments? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Wessel?
I want to speak to the administrative search because I did have that, asked to have that at the agenda. I'm fine with it being moved till September. I met with our interim administrator, told her of my interest for doing that, and encouraged her to be an applicant for that position. But I've been in lots of administrative positions, and you don't leave interim positions interim forever. And I think it's critical that we have a plan, we know what the plan is, and then we find the best person. And it's easy to sit out there and micromanage that, but this board is responsible for who administers this county. So I will urge us to do that in September.
Commissioner Algar?
First, this is a pre-announcement. Area Agency on Aging has a support program for caregivers, unpaid. So that's family members usually. They will support you, help in various ways, and it's worth finding out about. And there are these information cards are in senior services, and there are a few out at the table. This is important. It's an act of love to care for your partner or a family member. It's also difficult and taxing, and support is important. I'd also like to say Our county government has struggled with an incredible and very human resistance to change for 5 years. It has impeded our very purpose, our ability to focus on the needs and the good of all of Leelanau's citizens. This resistance to change has made working here very stressful for many people, as shown in the employee survey 3 years ago, and impossible for 2 administrators. Those dynamics made Jim Dyer's work to effect the transition of the finance department extremely difficult, and that work is not yet done. Change is hard, but it is necessary for growth. I hope that we can all be honest and reflective and come to accept and understand our part in these dynamics. Our goal must always be the good of the people and the lands of Leelanau County. Let's move on.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Bunning?
Yeah, the airport has received a grant for updating and improving the efficiency of their HVAC system and their cooling towers and stuff. It was through the FAA, but I was just wondering, if we have that same problem here, that we have to update it, make it efficient. I wonder if there is some kind of grants out there for, more efficiency and a better system. So it might be something that we could look into. Since they received the grant for it, I would hope that the county could, if we wanted to update it. So I just thought I'd bring that up. I was really excited for them, but that's for us too. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Yeah, Bill?
Yeah, I just think I've not observed this resistance to change. And there's a difference between resistance to change and adherence to policy and required financial protocol. And we bought 2, we're so eager for change that we bought 2 payroll systems that duplicated each other. And every year we allocate the funds. And so I've not seen this board, and I've not seen either Mr. Dyer or the current administrator be resistant to change per se. But you have to do change. It's more than just waving a wand. You can't just throw money at it. It takes hard work. So I appreciate your thought that we all hang in there, that we understand that this takes time. I do appreciate that. I also don't fall in line with this idea that employees hate this place. I had written that public service is what you make of it. County employees I meet understand, accept, and relish in the importance of their career choices. They love the peninsula. Some have very deep roots here. And they see the creeping of politics in the workplace for what it is, a path requiring constant glancing over shoulders. Hopefully, we're moving on past that and we can put that into the rearview mirror. I appreciate the openness that I see within government, and I agree, it's time to turn the page.
All right, one.
Whoa.
Oh, you got one?
I did. This is not the moment I really want to do, but it has to be done. With the urging of the chair and commissioner a couple weeks ago, I was told to meet with an individual here, and I did. I thought we had it resolved, and since then, it's just steamrolled into a bunch of chaos. And After last night, seeing what's going on, it just, I have no choice, but it's 10:46 right now. And I'm putting you on notice, Mr. Chair, not in writing, but in this meeting. I'm going back. I want an investigation started on our administrator on the credit card. And I also want an investigation on me for what I've been accused of too. And don't tell me that it's not gonna go anywhere, because it's the responsibility of the investigator to tell whether it's gonna go anywhere. But I'm putting you on notice that this crap's gotta end up here. It's gonna start right now, because you can cut the air right now, attention. I know 2 commissioners want to rip me a new one, and they don't even know what's going on. I mean, we got the secret email out there that wasn't supposed to go to a certain commissioner, but it did. It's all a plot, the conspiracy to get rid of me, and 3 other commissioners, our names on here, looks like they're part of the conspiracy. So I want to clear their names too, if they're not involved, but we need an investigation and put an end to this.
Okay. Guess I would ask if you have something I'd like it in writing so I can forward it on, I guess.
Put you on notice here verbally.
Okay, can you provide it in writing?
I think it can be done either way. It's on record now, it's at a meeting.
All right. I'll touch base with you afterwards, or I could try, because I need something ready to send on.
I'll give you something.
I don't want to write something down and forward it on, and I'd be
Right,
wrong.
but it's
So,
just gotten out of
something
hand.
right. So,
I mean, we had this resolved 2 weeks ago when the 4 of us met.
Yeah, so you have something ready, I can forward it on.
All right, thank you.
Can I say something unrelated to all this?
All right.
I want to tell our treasurer that indeed we did get your email and your suggestions. And we have we had already started along the same line that you were through a policy that we just sent to, and this was part of the administrator's report, we just sent to our attorney to do the attorney thing. Okay, so yeah, we're going along the same routes as far as who reports to who, ethics, implications, those types of things. So we hear you, and we're working down that line. Thank you.
And one more for John, we got his latest revenue report, and I understand that's going to be a part of our first budget session. So thank you for sending that.
All right.
I guess I have to say, resistance to change, I'm not talking about our administrators at all. Just to clarify.
All right, I know we haven't honored anybody, or, yeah, we don't have any celebrations or anniversaries, I guess, this year, or this month, I guess I should say, but I wanted to honor Wayne Kalchik. I guess he's our animal control deputy. He's going to be retiring after 13 years of service to the county. So you know Wayne or know him over there, give him congrats, and I just want to give him a shout out and thank him for his service to the county here. Hopefully onward to better things, so. With that, we'll move on to our first action item. Maybe get through a couple here before we go into a break. We'll start off with the sheriff's office, item number 1, which you have live scan fingerprints and price adjustment.
Good morning. Sheriff Borkovich, Under Sheriff Kiesel, and Lieutenant Rouse will be speaking this morning.
So the first one, both of these first two are rather trivial in the grand scheme of things. The first one, we were informed by the federal government that they raised their rates for fingerprint fees. As those rates, if we want to push those on as part of our charging schedule, we have to get approval to you. So in theory, the rates for fingerprint services that we offer need to be raised by $3, so we don't have to eat that federal increase. So I am here to ask for your permission to change our fee schedule and raise the rate by $3 respectively, which is all laid out in the EDS.
I move to recommend that the county board of commissioners allow the sheriff's office to adjust the fee schedule for live scan fingerprints from the current rate of $60 or $62 to $63 or $65, consistent with type of fingerprints being taken and the federal FBI rate increase effective October 1, 2026.
Support.
Supported, discussion?
I just want, and what was presented says as a formality. Is this something that we
Fee,
really
fee
do?
schedules approved by you guys.
schedule,
Yes.
yep.
I got you. I got you.
Any discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0.
The second one relates to PPO service reimbursement. By law, and depending on where you look, the sheriff's office is not necessarily obligated to serve PPOs. However, we have historically done it, as most law enforcement agencies do, as a service to the victims, whether it's domestic violence related or whatever. However, this year, the state has made an appropriation of $1 million overseen by the state police that would allow us to recoup funds or get a collection fee for those services. We're actually able to go back through till October, the beginning of the fiscal year, October 1 of last year, the fiscal year for the state, and get reimbursement for those services. The sheriff's office, from when I got this back to October, was roughly 11 or so, and there are others that have happened since. So right now it would be a unrealized collection of probably $600 to $800 that we would put in if we're authorized to join this program, and for me to submit the paperwork to the state, which then the money would go directly into the treasurer's office through the digital payment accounts.
Walter?
I move to recommend the county board of commissioners allow the sheriff's office to participate in the PPO service reimbursement program under Public Act 22, Section 16, FY 24-25, Part 2, Section 454, 12, parentheses. All monies received through this program shall be routed through the treasurer's office to the exact fund they are to be placed and determined to a later date.
Supported, discussion? Mr. Money?
Yeah, does this even come close to the cost of what, when you go and do this?
So the way the fees are set up, we can charge a flat $50, or we can charge $26 plus $1.05 a mile from here to the service location and back. Does it cover the costs? To be honest, I don't really know the answer, but considering we've collected zero for the history of the sheriff's office, I think it's a win. So.
Any other discussion? Not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. So we got
Tiggs. Good morning. Back in front of you guys again today with a actual EDS with a motion for the inmate food service with Tiggs Canteen. As you guys asked me to do last month, I reached out to them in an attempt to negotiate a little bit the increase. We were not able to come to any terms, either beneficial for us or beneficial for them, that really met in the middle. So at this point, I'm just here to recommend that we accept the price increases presented.
okay.
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the proposed addendum for a price per meal increase for the jail food service contract with Tiggs Canteen, and authorize the board chairperson to sign same. Thanks for.
Moved and supported, discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you for trying.
Yes.
Appreciate that. I'm sure that's easy.
Sure, you don't want to do it?
I'll pass.
Then the last one, and I apologize, this was part of the reason for an amended late agenda item. But on Friday afternoon, about 2:30, the state opened up the secondary road patrol grant with a deadline of August 31st. So obviously the need to get it in front of you. It is our annual request to submit for the secondary road patrol program. This year, the
Anticipated revenue is slightly higher because they had a one-time $3 million adjustment to it. No, 3 million statewide.
$1,000, yeah. Okay.
Due to unspent monies apparently from the grant last year. So anticipated revenues, they tell us this year are $69,332. And this is just for permission to submit the grant, which would then take the finance director and the chairman to sign digitally, and then for me to submit the report once I have all the attachments that go with it.
I move to recommend that the county board of commissioners allow the sheriff's office to apply for the 2020, 2026, 2027 fiscal year secondary road flow control grant through the Michigan Office of Highway Safety and Planning. It is also authorized for the board chair, finance director, and sheriff to digitally acknowledge and sign the grant agreement with the MGX portal before being submitted by the sheriff's office prior to April 30th or August 31st, 2026.
Support. Support discussion. Becky, you must be checking your email pretty quick, because I saw it come through, and went, oh boy, and I saw it on the agenda, so.
2 week notice. I mean, that's how we supposed to do all these grants and things.
All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carried 7-0.
Can I ask the sheriff a question?
Go for it.
Did you enjoy your assignment Sunday?
That was a fantastic assignment. I volunteered to step in, our Leelanau Township deputy. Was tied up with family obligations on the weekend. They had a security request to see Jeff Daniels. He's been in a lot of movies, and that was a great event. I sat through both shows there, and he's very personable, very good, very impressive. I did not expect that, to be honest with you. He was very impressive, so.
2 sellout crowds.
2 sellout crowds, yep. And everything was orderly. Not that there's usually a lot of problems, but it's good to have presence there, you know, when we can. So never know.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll do one more item, the emergency management, then we'll go into a 10-minute break or whatever, but have that discussion at least, and then.
Yep. Discussion item. Good morning. All right, so what we're here to discuss is the upcoming radio project, the replacement project that we are discussing at the fire chiefs meeting. This project was brought about because of requirements at the state level in order to encrypt CGIS traffic on the radios. It does affect the law enforcement radios, and doesn't say that it won't affect fire and EMS radios in the future with encryption needs as well. So what we're doing is having that discussion at the fire chiefs meeting. We have 2 commissioners on the committee as well, administrator. And we have been able to identify the items of the project right at this point. In order to finalize our project, we need to start talking financials, because that's going to whittle down what the total ask is going to be. And we're at a point where we can start those discussions at the fire chiefs meeting. There are some other opportunities that we would like to take advantage of, applying for an AFG grant, pursuing some kind of tribal assistance with this as well. But to put our ducks in a row, we want to be able to have these negotiations with the fire chiefs in order to continue the project that we have before us. As we did in the 2016 project, we negotiated with the fire chiefs in order to reimburse an annual maintenance fee from them. Through those negotiations, the administrator took a lead role in those. And really what it boiled down to was about 11% recoup costs from the local agencies. And in our negotiations so far, the committee decided that they would like to hear from the board itself instead of 2 members in order to see what kind of recoupment costs and the annual maintenance fees we could expect. So as you can imagine with the budget that you're going through right now, the same is true for the townships at their fire department levels. They're not going to have a whole lot of room in that. And in order to keep them on the same platform as the rest of the county to keep them operating in the best interests of the citizens of Leelanau County. We would like to include them in this project. Obviously, the Board of Commissioners will have the last say in that matter. So what we have discussed, and two board members can assist me on this, is percentages. And I don't know in a public meeting if it's going to be the best idea for us to state percentages, what we would accept as a minimum, because that will hurt our negotiation ability in the committee meetings. But if we had a range, perhaps, that might assist with the negotiations. So what I had before you in the supplemental EDS submission is kind of the annual payments, what you can expect. As you can see, we collect just under $32,000 a year currently. The project in 2016 cost $2.4 million. We expect that to be a little bit higher. The financial figures that I had before you are definitely preliminary, but they're kind of middle of the road as far as the project is concerned. So if you think about the total county contribution and the fire and EMS contribution, they're about 50-50. Of the county portion, dispatch makes up 35% of that. So we are the major majority in the county responsibility, where the sheriff's office is going to be the rest of the 15% for the 50% total cost. I'd be interested to answer any questions you may have. Might be easier to have this as a discussion instead of a lecture on my end.
Mr. Wessel? Well, I was at a township board meeting last week when this came up, and obviously townships are worried. They don't have it's late in the planning to know where the money's coming from, and I just hope we can be as reasonable as we can be. And I like the idea of the 2% grant, and then one commissioner would be willing to say that's our priority for this next cycle to get these radios, and then you wouldn't have to do your spiel.
Yes. Well, and I like the range that you've set up here. I think that gives us, and I like where it starts and where it ends. So I think that is the good, it's not asking for all, but it's more than what we had before.
Correct.
And we need that. I mean, it's just, we don't have the funds that we had before.
It's true. And, we were able to give them a very good deal the first time around. I don't think any of them expect to have 10%, so I think that they're reasonable on the other side at this point. But, as far as the budget proposal is going for the county, I just wanted you all to have some of this information before you in order to keep that in mind as well. How you want to fund the project, or, what kind of contributions you can expect, at least you have that information.
Can you give us how it's being funded? I mean, the money that we use, where did it come from? I think that's important that they all know that.
Yeah, so a lot of the annual payments, for the original project, we spread the payments over 10 years. So Motorola was able to finance that for us. And we pulled the money from the PILT funding in order to make the $276,000 annual payments. And then we had this $32,000 extra that comes in from the fire and EMS as well. How we decide to break that down for this project will be something you want to decide with the finance and treasurer's office.
Wasn't that why we instituted the 911 fund on the phones? Also,
it was one of the factors, yes. It did. And as the board may know, you have the ability to implement up to 42% or 42 cents per line per month as the surcharge. Anything above that will take a vote of the people. So we were able to identify, $80,000 to $90,000 a year with that. It's always come in a little bit higher, but that's some extra funds that the county has been able to take advantage of.
We didn't use the tower fund at all, did we?
No, we didn't have to do that. A lot of the tower fund goes to operational costs of dispatch. But we didn't have to take that into account for the annual payments for the original project.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the 2% makes a lot of sense, but and we've never done this before, but this is one project I imagine we can get all the townships on the same page. And I imagine we can get resolutions from all the townships for one grant. And whatever that amount might be, but it would be a lot more. And if we have a unified front on this, working with the tribe and let the tribe know that it is our #1 priority, not for us just as a county, but for also all the fire and rescues, we might do better than we've ever done before in that regard.
There will be one wrinkle. I just want to bring that up, is that in the original project, the tribal fire department was part of it. They have since purchased their own radios recently. So they would not be part of this project.
Okay.
But not to say we still can't ask. I just want you to have all that information as well.
Yeah. But they may also support it too, because of course they're all working through you eventually.
Correct.
So there is still the benefit to the tribe. Is the 3.8 million, is that, and this is the upper or the lower, or this is?
Middle of the road. Yeah.
And what are our ranges on that?
2.7 to 4.2.
So if we really do run into financial difficulties, the 2.7 might rise a little higher as far as priorities. What do we lose with a 2.7? What is that? What's the bells and whistles that aren't coming?
The intent of this project is to have county ability to operate for at least the next 10 years. The 2.7 would be the bare minimum for us to continue our operations as is right now. It wouldn't leave room for any growth with the fire departments or with the sheriff's office if they were to add personnel or equipment units on the field or on the road. Breakdowns. Yep. Having extra inventory on hand in case there is a mobile radio that needs to be sent in for service. We can put another one in there. It'll eliminate our ability to do a lot of that.
I hate to start at ground zero, but I'm not, and maybe everyone else here is way ahead of me, but can you just go through, or perhaps Steve can, or someone on that committee, the intent of the payments from the fire and rescues is to cover a portion of the total cost. Is that correct?
That is correct. I mean, the annual payments are set up to be a maintenance fee because they are county equipment. We have to maintain them. So whenever they have a problem, they call me. And if we have to send that in for repair, we do so. Or get radio technicians to respond out to the fire departments in order to handle that issue. So it's a payment more for the county responsibility for the project.
Well, do the payments add up to more than, I mean, it sounds more like a lease than a maintenance, honestly, per se. Because it sounds like we do take in more, at least in the beginning of our contractual obligations. We take in more than what normal, I'm assuming not much maintenance when we first get these things.
Correct. There shouldn't be more at the beginning. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to find a bad egg in the bunch. We were very fortunate the first time around. We didn't have that situation. Batteries were a different issue. Yeah.
You get them all, when they first come in, you have to do all the programs.
Correct. And that will be the same way. So, as far as maintaining the firmware, they're basically computers. So keeping them at good operational ability, that's going to fall on the county, namely me. So.
Just maybe this is a stupid question, but this question came up to me when I was talking with, our local fire department, is there any way that could be billed more as a capital expenditure versus a maintenance? Because then they could do it different in their budget, but maybe that's just not possible.
Not by, I haven't had a true legal opinion on that, but I haven't been able to find a way. We can reach out to legal counsel on that to see. It hasn't been able, as far as the research I've been able to do.
Yeah, well, might be something we're looking, because from my understanding, this might be a little bit more doable if that were the case, but they could take it out of their capital versus maintenance type of thing. But I understand from a legal perspective too, that may just simply be not possible.
Yeah, that, I think what the major hiccup is that they're not gonna own the equipment.
Right. Yep.
So if we cede ownership of it,
Right. No, I know.
it'd be a big donation.
Right. Any other questions, I guess? Is everybody, I mean, have consensus on this board to kind of go with that number there and let the fire chiefs committee kind of continue working on that based on the numbers here, and then does anybody have any strong objections one way or the other?
So I'm a little concerned where you said you have zero leeway. Like if one radio is down,
Yeah, if we went with the bare minimum, we would have less of the ability to eliminate any downtime if there were problems with radios in the field.
those radios are critical.
They are, and you know, it's, let's just give a for instance. Radios in the ambulances seem to be the most problematic, and I don't know why. Maybe it's something in the air in the ambulance, but they typically have more operational issues where they need to be touched and they need to be given a firmware update or push the code plug back in there to where they have the radio channels that they need. If I'm not able to respond down to the fire department, or they're not able to come to my office to get that radio fixed, they're operating an ambulance without a radio. They'll be dependent upon their portable radio, which does not have the reception capabilities that the mobile radios do. We can go down a real big rabbit hole with that one, but basically that's what we're trying to address with the middle of the road, as opposed to the bare minimums.
So you will have at least one extra
Yes,
in case something.
in case.
And I'm thinking, visualizing the ambulance taking my daughter to Munson, who was having a major heart attack.
Something, or, you know, it could
Yes.
be a baby that's choking. We have those too. So, yeah, it's a plethora of options that we could put in that ambulance.
To be able to communicate.
What does the top of the line provide?
Top of the line would be able to basically allow the fire and EMS and law enforcement agencies to expand as needed. You know, there wouldn't be any limitations as far as, you know, if they were to add personnel. I know that staffing is always an issue with, you know, first responders. But it seems that they're always short-staffed and they'd love to have more. And if something changed to where they could have more personnel, the top of the line would give them the ability to be able to have a lot of personnel.
Right away.
Right away.
And have you had in the last 10 years, have you had to add a lot of personnel?
Yes, we have. So a lot of that has to do with there's been a change at the fire and EMS level as far as paid on call and full-time. The full-time numbers have jumped a lot to where the paid on call hasn't really hasn't dropped off, I would say, but more of their staff are paid full-time. So those members need to be outfitted with gear, radios, and everything that the fire department needs to do. But yes, we've had multiple departments come to me and say, hey, I need a radio for this new guy.
So you would try to.
I would try to be able to address that with this project too. Yeah.
So is one of the unstated but underlying thoughts that we're soon going to pay off the LEC and some of that funding to offset this? Is that part of the conversation?
It hasn't come up in our discussions, no. I don't presume to know anything about the payments on the LEC, but
Actually, it probably is.
Any final questions? All right, feel like you have enough directive?
I think so, as long as yourself and Chairman or Commissioner Bunnick have the comfort level to continue negotiations. Okay. Our focus will be to find exterior finance options as well, but just to cover all our bases. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, yep, we'll go into a 10-minute break.
Thanks for getting back to me. I thought that's what that was.
Yeah, sorry, it took a couple
Once in the
days.
front, once in the back.
Another reason.
Well, I didn't look at it till later. I would have given more
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. We're gonna do the burn training coming September 29th. We'll do it all. We'll do it. We'll see that.
On my record, I did not wear my red shirt.
Wow, blue.
How will we know?
Oh, how are you doing?
Sir, how are you?
Are you killing two birds with one stone?
Yeah, well, today's my last day, so I, big day Saturday. And Lauren asked if I could sit in. And then I was like, I can't. I need to be able to do some, and I have a step. It's postponed whenever everything starts to relax.
Well, we'll see when you get
Being my commissioner, I sent you an email, make sure I go on record, I did not wear my red shirt.
But you had
No, it's.
Enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like, it's
All that.
like.
I sent you an email, I sent you an email, save your money.
I thanked you for your email. You did. Did you get it from me?
It took you long to get over the shop. I
looked at So I'm driving my granddaughter.
No, you're not, since I get it.
Down 72.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. It's always really interesting.
Oh, my God, the
There were
problems
a
of the
million
world.
things I could have said that were more
God bless you all.
He just got one.
Ready to say.
I'm driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lord, where is that?
Anyway, I didn't like it.
As you know.
How are you?
You're keeping everything
I know.
good.
There were a million things I could have said that were
I
more
know.
constructive.
But.
You know how I feel. Nobody else. That survey is still working.
Time.
Down here to number 3.
I'm talking about the one 3 or 4 years ago.
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't think you were here.
I wasn't, but that's.
No, I understand that, but I also think they would respect us working together too. Yeah. But I'm not saying don't approve other ones, but for this particular one, if we can get resolutions of support, let folks know.
So why is your wife's lipstick on that? I want to change this motion. Adopt.
Adopting means that we agree.
We need a word.
Yeah.
I want to see the file.
You cut that out of the budget.
It does look like a lipstick, doesn't it?
Change it to blue.
You gonna kiss that too?
Victory celebration.
I have heard of the name, but I'm surprised. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Yeah.
She's scheduled to have a picture taken with her son. I could, I got my tooth pulled out too.
Oh, I heard. Couldn't fit you in the picture, huh? And do a big wide one?
Did he leave?
Okay,
Okay, did he mention it to you?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know about how many minutes ago?
Bergman
Maybe
did not.
5 or 6 minutes ago.
Okay, I just, I haven't noted, that's all. I just-
Along M7.
Thank you.
Signs all over. But, you know, stuff in places.
5 minutes, okay, that's
Like,
cool.
I
Thank you.
had a bunch of signs, but I photo kind of thing.
I will just note it.
Intersection. Somebody working by the hour.
Did you get an email from Pat? He says he sent an email. Back up.
Yes.
Somebody's talking about.
Which topic?
I don't, you said he had a packet.
Is it on the dam?
It's on.
It's nothing for this meeting, though, right?
I don't know. You seem to think I.
Where was that gonna be? In the county, is that Travis? With Callie, where was that gonna be?
It was at the Indigo
Oh,
Hotel.
I don't remember. I hear you can eat up on the roof.
You can?
Yeah. That's a pretty nice spot. We go to Travis, we're gonna eat, we always go to boats. If we're gonna make the trip, we just always go to boats. That's right on that same agriculture down, that right there.
Just, just past Cherry Bend Road.
Oh, no.
Used to be the custom.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, is that good?
I wish everybody could be okay.
Hello.
We're not quite ready yet, so.
And Rex, she's called them.
Kudos on the election. Congratulations. Well,
Yeah. It's just what you can't say. I will say, you don't, nobody felt.
Well, you can
Oh,
you can say on dollars, but about that.
No,
which is
it's
what
not
you're saying.
here.
That's pretty close.
You ready? All right, we are back in session again. First item we have here is for item number 3, which is planning for CIP. We got Gail here.
Yes, I have this year's CIP for approval. I thought maybe I'd just run through quickly the changes that I have made.
Go for it. Yep.
Cover page, you can see 2027 through 2032. The planning commission approved this document at their July 22nd meeting. We move on. Page 1, we updated board of commissioners and the planning commission information. Moving on to page 5.
Okay, so there's a disconnect. You don't see 5. do you?
Just talking about the CIP document, which is in your packet, not the packet of the board.
The numbers are different.
So they're slightly different.
I can go through page numbers if that's helpful.
If we go to,
Sorry, go ahead.
okay, if we go to the community profile, that heading. The information under there has been updated with the 2020 census data. And that continues on to the top of the next page. Then if we move on a couple of pages here, my page 10, that starts the priority level of all of the projects. You can see they're rated priority.
Page 63 of our document.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that shows how they're rated 1, 2, and 3. And 4. Following that,
Can I ask on that, then, you know, the big amount is the, you have together the $1 million radio. And that's the same conversation we just had.
Correct.
But obviously the number is a lot different, so probably when you guys were looking through it, you didn't have enough number to plug in there.
no,
Yeah,
no,
and that's the difficulty, is trying to track with that moving target.
correct.
Yeah.
Are we able at this stage to swap out numbers if we know?
I can make any changes
Okay,
the board
great.
wants, yeah. You move on to my page 13, CIP projects, you can see along the top there. This year, what do we have, 8 new submittals?
Page 66 of our document.
And then as usual, anything over 6 years is removed. Next page again shows other potential projects.
I didn't understand that broadband. Is that for the work that's not yet done or the work that would?
It's shown in yellow as it's still in progress.
Being Cherry Capitals still in progress. And I know Brightspeed is doing some things.
That is for what's being, I think it's the Brightspeed, what is being installed with, is it the
Point broadband.
Point Broadband?
Point Broadband was acquired by Brightspeed, and with the exception of, yes. With the exception of a few addresses and private drives, the project has been closed out and completed.
Do you want that?
So, well, that would be,
You want this?
basically, I'd say removed or say completed.
Well, it should be in green then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to state that not everybody in the county got service.
Well,
Yes, I still trust it. I was new.
I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, I've learned.
All right, moving on, the following pages, I have 15 through 22. Those are summaries of the new submittals for this year. My page 26 shows the existing capital. Only other change was
What was the last one? I'm sorry.
the existing capital. That's my page 26.
That would be page 79 or 78. 78.
78 on our packet. Actual numbers are 7.
And the last thing I have is an updated tower site map from emergency management. And those are the changes that were made.
Do we know where the new tower that they're talking about in Northport's going? Where that would be on the map?
I don't, this is just what I was given.
That would not be a county-owned tower.
Is that Leelanau Township?
Yeah. And they're just reviewing a request from a contractor to place a leash tower, Raymond Hill, down in Raymond Hill.
Oh, that's right.
The overview?
That's all I have, yes.
All right.
A lot of work. Thank you.
We have no capital improvement fund. Is that correct? I don't think we ever have had a capital improvement fund per se.
We can identify projects and allocate funds.
We have the funds set aside just for that everything.
And that's kind of the disconnect, that the disadvantage of, I understand it's important to lay out all of these projects and now we can see them. It's, you know, makes them visible, gives priority to them, but of course what's lacking is the revenue side.
Well, that's, I'm sorry.
Well, I just wanted to say that I know some counties take that, their CIPs to a different level. I know one county meets, they have a CIP committee, they meet every 3 months to go over their capital improvement projects. And for us, I think we're moving in that direction, so.
Mr. Wessel?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion, but I'd like to change the motion that's in the book just a little bit. I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners receive and file the 2027-2032 capital improvement program, which allows us then to review it during budget time and use it as a guide. But adapting to me suggests that we've given it a thorough review and we agree with all the priorities, and I don't think we're ready to do that at this time. So I would like to receive it or accept it for our future use.
Support.
Accept, and just to take, adopt and change it out for accept. Is that your question?
And then can I, as amended, since you guys made a couple changes, did you want as amended?
Please.
Is that okay?
Okay.
Supported. Commissioner Walter, just a comment?
No, I was just gonna say, capital, we don't have a capital building fund because that's putting taxpayer money we're collecting taxpayer money for no reason, because in the future, like I said, we want to have it, so. We have to fund these projects as they come up. You know, not just have a slush fund money. You know, when we collect taxes, we gotta have a purpose for it, so that's how the budget system works. So that's why we just don't have a capital improvement slush fund. You know what I'm saying? Because we're taking that money from the taxpayers. Well, I did.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're.
I was just trying to explain that that's why we don't.
Right. Any other?
I just, yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking through as I'm talking about our role as defined in this process. And I'm not sure that we as a board can edit this report. My understanding is that we can accept it, but the final decision-making is actually lies with the planning commission and not with us. I know that sounds dysfunctional, but can you help me on that, Gail?
It was amended last year between the planning commission and here.
But planning commission is the one that I think holds the authority, the final authority on this.
They adopted, forwarded on here for us to adopt it, so it's, I mean, we can still make changes on it, we're the final authority here.
We're the one writing the check.
I know, I understand that.
So we appreciate all the work that goes
Sure.
into this, so that
Absolutely.
then we can, that facilitates our decision when there's a need. The work has been done.
Planning commission is in essence doing the job, so you don't have to sit here and do it for 10
I was
hours.
saying, we may want to clarify.
We might
our
be
role.
here for that.
So, which money?
Yeah, the planning commission is advisory. They advise the townships and they advise the board. We could eliminate the planning commission and become it ourselves if we wanted to. That's the authority we have. That's my understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion? Not all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Carried 6-0.
Thank you.
Gail?
This will be back before you at budget. CIP has its own designated spot as part of a budget work session, so perhaps I can work with Gail and we can make those last minute adjustments and bring that back before you in budget.
All right, next up, we're up to facilities, jail restroom partition purchase.
Morning. Wayne put most of this stuff together and we worked on it together, but he was the driving force for this, so we'll give him a chance to talk
The
about it.
partitions that we're talking about are in the LEC. It's not in the jail. It's not 911. It's the bathroom, like if you go into the lobby where the females use the road patrol and Johanna and Mary. That bathroom, they're metal petitions that have been there since the building was built. So every road patrol officer that comes in off the shift or comes in, they use that men's bathroom. They're metal, they're rusty, they're not clean, they're disgusting. So I just put a proposal together to have those partitions replaced with new ones from Allen Supply, which is a vendor that we've used since the campus was built. They work with Grand Traverse Construction to do the final work and just to get in their composite plastic that will last forever.
And
they're neater and cleaner.
And we did research, there was 3 local ones and we were only able to get responses from this one.
From Allen Supply.
And we did not, we got some estimates online that weren't official estimates, but they're all downstate. And so the added cost of having them to come up kind of makes it a moot point.
I move to recommend the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the purchase of restroom partitions for the Leelanau County Emergency Operations Center from Allen Supply in the amount not to exceed $3,480 with funds to come from repairs and maintenance 775.001.
Support. Supported, discussion? Not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 6-0. All right, thank you. Next up, fire system control panel invoice.
So what happened is you have the motherboard in the LEC building, and that is the annunciator and motherboard that controls your strobes, horns, smoke detectors, duct detectors. That's the home brains of the operation. That's located back in the control room in the jail. That failed after 20 plus years. It finally, it wasn't gonna work. So it's kind of on the same lines of the motherboard that replaced for the generator over in 911, and they're not cheap. So Summit Fire and Protection, we got the motherboard from them. They had to send a special technician from Indiana that covers the area. So you had travel time with that and cost. So that cost was $7,200, but we have to have it. It's critical to the building and the safety and runs all the fire operations.
Just to piggyback on what Dwayne is saying is if you're starting to see a pattern, you are correct. 20 years old and these parts are starting to fail. So I am trying to prime you for budget talks.
And this is before you, at my recommendation, this could have gone through administration as an emergency authorization, but Summit had enough of a lead time on their invoice that we could present it to you and have it go through claims and accounts.
Money?
Yeah, I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners authorize payment of the invoice 4293197 for Summit Fire Protection, the replacement of the fire panel and display at the Leelanau County Emergency Operations Center in the amount of $7,200. Funds to come from repairs and maintenance 775.001.
Support. Support, discussion? Not, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Carried 6-0. Next up, we have some Ta's uniform.
This is before you again in my my recommendation. An agreement was entered into in March. And although the annual cost is under the threshold at which the administrator can approve, the authority to enter into agreements lies with the Board of Commissioners. So we are retro asking for authorization for this agreement with Cintas.
I can add to what the administrator is saying in terms of details about this. We did run numbers on this, and even though it's initially it was more than what we were spending, the factoring in labor efficiencies and replacement costs, we're estimating that positive net savings about $1,800 to $5,400 over 3 years. So this is a net savings.
What money?
Why would this be coming out of 727 instead of 775?
It's not a,
It's because the budget for uniforms was decreased in the last budget cycle. So there wasn't 4,000, the total amount that was needed to be paid for this contract. I think budgeted for uniforms was like 500.
Parks and Rec 26 budget is 400 and budget for uniforms within buildings and grounds is $650. So there was simply not budget available.
We did reduce it simply because the only budget, the uniform items we're basically buying is boots until Dwayne came up with this idea, which I thought was a good one.
727 is used because it's an operating supply versus repair and maintenance, as Dwayne said.
so we're operating supply.
Operating
All right.
supply, more like paper towel, that kind of thing. That's where we put it.
So it does fit into that budget.
You're welcome.
Money?
Yeah, then I move to recommend that Leelanau Board authorize entering into a 36-month agreement with the Cintas Corporation for weekly uniforms and towel laundering services in the amount not to exceed $4,108 per year. Funds to come from 727.000.
Support.
Supported, discussion? Not, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried 6-0. Thank you. Next up, we have Parks and Rec, Veronica Valley, and DNR Trust Fund grant.
Okay, so this is the next stop in our lots of work for not a lot of money project at Veronica Valley Park. We had an opportunity to walk the site of the construction with our consultant last week and kind of visualize where the trail is actually going to go, and all of us were just delighted with what it's going to do for Veronica Valley. So the state has finally moved in this next step, which is we have accepted the project, the grant has been approved, and now the state has issued a project agreement. So it's further stating as a body that we recognize that this is a 50% reimbursable grant, and we agree again to move forward with this project.
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners enter into a project agreement with the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund for the construction of a fully accessible trail around the lower pond at Veronica Valley County Park and make a resolution to accept the terms of this grant.
Supported, discussion, Mr. Bunny?
Is it in this grant, we pay for this first and then they reimburse us, is that what you're saying?
That's correct. So during interim administrator Richard Lewis's tenure, he set aside the capital outlay for, I believe it was 2025, Parks and Rec, so that those dollars have been sitting. So we have 100% of the anticipated cost set aside, ready to go. And then once we reach a certain threshold, I believe it's in the 70% range, but I have a grid, then we can start applying for the reimbursements. But we have the entire project amount set aside, and we will be reimbursed for 50% of that, which will leave us with about 55,000 to move forward into another project.
So the money won't come back to the general fund, it goes back to Park and Rec?
No, it goes back to that capital, well, we would receive it and then allocate it back to capital outlay.
Not there.
We have a motion, or we had a motion, do we? Yeah. So any other discussion? Not all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 6-0. Next, Miles Kimberly Park project.
So I can start and then turn it over as far as what we project for costs. The Board of Commissioners had authorized a request for proposals for the conversion of one of the tennis courts at Miles Kimberly Park from a tennis court to 2 pickleball courts. The estimate, we only received one proposal, far exceeded the amount that we were authorized to spend. And we kind of reevaluated and said, how can we pivot and keep this under budget? Because knowing that Parks and Rec still has capital outlay in the budget for 26. So Swing, in his creative and resourcefulness, was able to come up with a plan that would still allow us to convert that tennis court into 2 pickleball courts, would include the striping, the netting, and the posts. And we still anticipate that to significantly come under the threshold of $15,000, which we've been authorized to spend.
So yeah, I think we're looking at under $5,000. So we got a bid from Molon to do the striping. The tennis court surface does not need resurfacing. So that's intact and that looks really, it's in great shape. To resurface everything, you're looking at $22,000. But we're just gonna do striping. So we're gonna convert to tennis court, pull the posts out, take down the tennis court nets, put stripe into pickleball courts. We've got pricing from several vendors to buy the nets and the posts and the sleeves. So you basically cut a hole in the asphalt, drop a sleeve in, drop the pickleball court post in, and we do it ourselves. So between buying a hole saw for the asphalt and buying an auger, it's a couple $100. We're gonna do that work. And we'll save a bunch of money by just converting them over. And if need be, if we have to put a fence between the tennis court and the pickleball courts, we can do that. I priced out some posts and some fencing for under $1,000. And again, the maintenance crew would go in and do that work ourselves. So it's a lot of money saved.
This was an interesting process because essentially, like when we came back with that higher number, basically Dwayne said, well, let's do a bid on it, So we may try to do more of that, and maybe we'll bid on our own projects, so to speak, or try to put stuff together like this, where we have the man hours and the capabilities.
Yeah, so the fancy work we can't do, but the labor, my guys can do it. We'll get in there, we'll get it done.
It'll satisfy an item on the Parks Master Plan as well as CIP, and still come under budget.
And you're quite sure the surface is in good shape?
Yeah, that surface was about 4 or 5 years ago when that whole tennis court was resurfaced. So it's in excellent shape. So we're just gonna take the tennis court striping out and put in the pickleball striping. And we'll see if the numbers are great and people are all of a sudden flooding Miles Kimberly with pickleball, then we'll go further along.
right, we have a motion. Mr. Wessel?
I move to recommend that Leelanau County Board of Commissioners designate the repairing, striping, and court conversion at Miles Community Park as a project with funds to come from Parks and Recreation Capital Outlay account ending in 970.000 and amount not to exceed $50,000.
Support.
Moved and supported, discussion?
I love when common sense prevails. I mean, it doesn't always happen, but thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, clean eyes looking at that. That was cool.
Great work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we're first item under administration, which we got transfer of under sheriff keys to credit card to Leelanau County credit card system.
Yeah, so this is in continuation of the conversation we had in July regarding not only the undersheriff's credit card, but the general structure of credit cards within the county. So what I'm asking for today is approval to move the undersheriff's card under an umbrella of Leelanau County that would increase our dual control processes, improve access, grant access to the board chair and to the finance director, and have that card underwritten or financed on the county's tax ID number, not on the personal identifying information of employee. And I also will say that this, we're gonna wait until we have a commercial card program in place. So it's kind of a tandem request for the undersheriff and for interim administrator. That will be before you in September. So we will have the authorization and then that movement will happen all at once.
Okay.
I move to recommend that a credit card be issued in the name of Under Sheriff James Kiesel, underwritten on the tax ID of Leelanau County with the board chair as additional signatory to be accessible by finance with a credit limit not to exceed 4,500.
Support. Supported.
And I
Discussion?
understand that in past credit card issues were resolved after a meeting, but they were resolved.
Yes, they have been resolved. Yes.
So
As far as the payment,
yeah,
yes, that was resolved.
after the meeting.
Yes, after the meeting Wednesday.
Any other discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 6-0. Then on to credit card for our interim administrator.
Yeah, so like I said, same vein, similar request to have the authorization in place so that if the Board of Commissioners does agree to a commercial card program, that the undersheriff's card and the card for the interim administrator will be brought under that commercial card umbrella.
Mr. Wessel?
I move to recommend that Leelanau County credit card be issued to interim administrator Lauren Cyber unwritten on the tax ID of Leelanau County with the board chair as additional signatory to be accessible by finance.
Support. Moved and supported, discussion? Not, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 6-0. Thank you. Next up, we got a few policy updates. I'll let Lauren start off with the first one.
Yes, the first one will need legal review, but the change is very minor. And this was brought to our attention by our FOIA coordinator. We have, as you are aware, many policies that haven't been updated in some time. So I think you can anticipate a pretty regular stream of policies brought before you. This is a minor update reflective of an MCL change, granting a FOIA coordinator the authority to accept, administrate, and process FOIA requests. And you can see in the red line that it is substituting the prosecuting attorney or the assistant prosecutor for our FOIA coordinator.
Mr. Money.
I move to recommend that the revision of policy 1.04 regarding the management a request under the Freedom of Information Act pending legal review.
Support. Support, discussion?
I don't have any disagreement with this, but I hope when we review policies again, I think we need to take a look at the FOIA policy. And I just, lots of governments are getting bogged down in a very costly process. And I just think we need to take a look and see if there's some way we can do it that we comply with the law, but don't end up spending all our time every day doing FOIA requests.
Yeah, I was wondering, so we're actually gonna eliminate the prosecuting attorney and the assistant attorney?
That is the red line at this time, but I will be sending pending approval from Board of Commissioners to legal, and if they would like to keep both, I'm not opposed to that at all.
Yeah, because I mean, I would think it's good to add somebody, but to take two people off instead of one, it makes it less, less or more cumbersome, I would think. If she isn't here or he or whoever's the, then let the attorneys do it. So it gets done and it's not waiting. So I hope we keep it back on.
And just simply make the addition of the FOIA coordinator.
Right.
Yes, I don't want, and I don't think it has evolved to this, but I don't want I would prefer, and I think citizens of this county would prefer, that not every request for information ends up with FOIA. And I'm not saying this does that. I'm just saying that that's been a general direction, not just in Leelanau County, but throughout government. And many counties have more detailed explanations of how to go about getting information. For instance, Iowa County makes independent its elected offices. And, it's not just a free reign, but it makes independent that if they believe there's no attorney-client privilege or no problems with the exceptions to FOIA, then they can just hand out the information. They explicitly say that in their this says that this policy shall not be construed as interfering with the operations of county departments and offices which have independent statutory functions or responsibilities for the custody, control, blah, 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 of public records. So I just want to make sure that we leave a message that public records are meant for the public, with notable exceptions under FOIA. So that's it. So anyways, that's probably a discussion for another day.
Well, that's my recommendation. If something like that would come up, should be a part of what Commissioner Wessel wrote for FOIA policy. That should be incorporated into that. That whole thing is simplified rather than cumbersome. So that can be taken up at that time. Any other discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carried 6-0. And the ACH policy.
Okay, we'll ask our finance director to be at the table for this. So I originally had this as move forward because I was not sure that we would have a comprehensive redlined version, but I was able to meet with the treasurer and with the finance director, come up with the first round of edits. This does need legal review and as much input as we can get. This policy had not been updated in 13 years.
Yeah.
13 years.
Yeah.
And we know that payments are moving towards more of an electronic format, and we wanted to make sure that this policy reflected our dual controls and segregation of duties and all of the checks and processes that are necessary for government finance. So treasurer made his input, finance director has made input, and this draft is in front of you for your review.
Mr. Walton?
I move to recommend the approval of edits to Leelanau County Policy 7.11 regarding automated clearinghouse pending review by corporate counsel.
Or supportive discussion? Commissioner Campbell?
Yeah, I just had some questions on some of the wording, but maybe they're required for this separation of power among our different departments, like the procedures and internal controls as determined under this written policy were developed, says was, should be were developed and adopted by the county treasurer. I'm not sure how a county treasurer adopts something. Yeah, I mean, that just seems like kind of a clumsy way of saying he agreed to it. Or Leelanau County shall not be a party to an ACH arrangement unless the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners has adopted a resolution to authorize electronic transactions, and the Leelanau County Treasurer has presented a written ACH policy to the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners. Well, this is the policy, so I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean, or why that's even necessary. So it just seems a little clumsy to me, but I don't know if that's because of legal ramifications. So anyways, I do hope that the attorney gives it a good look before it comes back.
You don't run a newspaper anymore.
This is a policy, but is it a resolution? Because they're saying we need a resolution as well.
Well,
In our policy, it says we need a resolution, so, and that's another thing to take a look at and examine. It's like, I don't know that a resolution was done in 2013. And I'm not sure that it is statutorily required. Or if the policy would suffice.
I'm sure when legal counsel reviews it, if we need a resolution and will tell us that, and they'll give us the policy plus the resolution too.
And I can certainly bring this back before you, once we have input from our corporation council.
They talk about push, pull, some things, what is?
So like in the normal, like how we know ACHs is usually you like say you're gonna pay an amount in a platform and then it gets pulled out of your bank. So that's one way you can do an ACH. The other way is you go into your banking platform and you submit an expense and then it's paid through the banking platform, not the third party. So they're just two separate different ways that it is pulled. So it's either pushed or it's pulled. Does that make sense? Okay.
Doing the same thing, just different ways.
Correct. Yep. It's just,
Different.
yep.
Yeah, and it's my understanding that the treasurer's preference is as much as possible to have the funds be pushed. Meaning that we initiate the transaction, we authorize the amount, and we push the funds out rather than a vendor or a credit card company pulling the funds from our banking system.
Correct. And also this, any changes were also kind of aligned with the MFGOA like suggested policy that we hold for ACHs. So some of that verbiage and used is pulled directly from their suggestions.
What's the difference between the red line and the blue line versions?
I believe I made the red line adjustments and the treasurer made the blue line adjustments.
It's just indicating multiple people have their hands in it.
Yeah, I just didn't know which, which one was which, so. All right, any other discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 6-0. Thank you. And then, yeah, next is discussion of our audit, feedback and next steps, so.
So the Board of Commissioners can choose to take action on this or not. You were given a few different scenarios here in regards to the agreement that we currently have with Schaefer and Hackett regarding our audit. So we can opt into year 2 with Clark Schaefer Hackett, which will require no action. We will proceed. A second option is to issue a request for proposals. That RFP does currently exist and was submitted last fall, in which we received several proposals which you interviewed for candidates for different firms. And another option would be to revisit the other proposals that had been previously brought before you, should you desire to pivot and engage with a different firm.
Mr. Wessel?
Typically, it's not good practice to have the same auditor for too many years. And it's also, I think, not good practice to change every year. And unless we have a reason to change auditors, and maybe we do, I didn't see it, we got an A plus report. Unless we have a reason to change, I don't know why we would change and go out for the RFPs again. Yeah, I don't want one forever, and I think it's time to move from Raymond, but I would, unless we have reason to change, say let's
No action needed.
but maybe the finance director or the administrator have, or the treasurer have different ideas.
Please.
So I do have some concerns with our current auditors that we have. From my experience of what I observed within the audit process, I didn't feel like there was as thorough of an examination that I would expect as coming from an auditor background. I kind of had a lot of things that I expected to see from them. And so I think it would be a valid option to just review the RFP that we had out and the responses that we had. But I do think there is reason to look into potentially a different auditor, although you, Commissioner Russell, you do make a good point to not have an auditor forever, but then also to not change every year. I do think there are a lot of auditors out there that would be an option to continue for a relationship for multiple years in a row, but still have that remain independent and switch if needed. But again, I do think we should be looking at different auditors for the next coming year.
Can I ask you, it just sounds like when you say not as thorough, can you be a little more specific, things that they did not look at that you would have expected, or that Raymond perhaps looked at? I don't know.
So the initial processes for an audit, they call it is planning. And so that's where you really learn everything about who you're auditing. So that consists of walkthroughs where you learn about what procedures happen. And then you also perform fraud inquiries. So that would be the moment in which you interview somebody independently and you ask them questions from a standpoint of, has anyone asked you to do things like post a journal entry that you felt was inappropriate, or those questions that you have to ask as an auditor? I was never, like a fraud inquiry was never performed with me. I don't believe one was performed with the county treasurer. I don't believe one was performed with the chief treasurer as well. And then I was also not made aware of any walkthrough procedures that were performed, and they were not performed prior to my arrival. So I think those two there's more that I've noted throughout that process, but those are the two pretty substantial items that I think show that it was not as thorough as you would want, because if you don't know the processes in place, you can't audit them. And so if there was not a walkthrough completed with the finance director who's in the everyday operation and knows when we get these invoices, it has to be approved and we send them through. If they don't know those questions being asked, they're not setting themselves up for success to audit our process.
Well, I would suggest we move this forward until next week and ask the treasurer and the finance director to give us a joint recommendation on what they recommend together. I think this is an important decision, and it doesn't look good to me to have an auditor for 1 year and replace him right away, unless we have real reason to do it. And so I think John and our finance director could talk about that and get back to us.
Yeah, I think John just left, but we have had lots of conversations about this, and I can assure that we're all on the same page moving forward, that we should go back out for recommendations.
Can't we also communicate with them
Yes.
and just say, we're wondering why these things weren't done, and would you please? Tell people to follow.
Yes.
I like consistency as well.
I will add to that, I've heard my share amount of concerns too, and I can speak, I've heard some concerns from the road commission as well. They've had some great concerns with this too, so I think if we get a process from the treasurer and finance director, we should have some from the road commission as well. They'd be willing to chime in on that too, because they rely on our auditor as well a lot. And I had conversations with one of their staff members and they were not, yeah, they would have liked to see more at least too. So
I've been the recipient of that communication as well, detailing specific concerns in regards to their audit.
So yeah, I think it'd be wise, if there's a form, something formal that comes back next week, to have something from you, the treasurer and the road commission, you know, more input, I guess, rather than just a discussion here, because you guys you worked directly with them. We just saw the final outcome, I guess, so.
Yeah.
Just one, I agree with you that, yeah, switching every year doesn't maybe looks bad on us. However, you know, if you're gonna switch auditors and they give you an A+, well, it's pretty obvious you're switching auditors because of some reason other than trying to avoid something. So I think we're in a good position to do that if we want to look for someone on for more of a 3, 4, 5 year basis. Now would be the time to do that rather than wait a year, you know, with staff recommendations.
And we are looking, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. We are looking to grow a relationship with the auditors eventually. I just don't believe that these are the auditors that will grow that relationship. So we can have the consistency and to move forward in a dynamic relationship rather than just giving an A+. They're also looking at an operational standpoint and making suggestions on where we can improve.
I was just wondering, don't we have a 3-year contract with them, don't we?
It's an optional, it's an opt-in, so
Okay.
if we make no changes, we can move into that second year with no issues. And if we opt out, all we have to do is provide that in writing.
All right, it's a confidence issue.
Yes.
All right, so I think, yeah, got some direction, then
Do you want a motion to move this forward?
we should probably have that, so.
I'll make a motion to move this forward to next week.
All right, supported, all those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Carried 6-0. Thank you. All right, next up, we have a closed session. Of us. I got the motion right here, if somebody wants to make this motion.
Would we, since we're almost down at the end of our agenda, would we care to handle G, the review of financials, and then public comment, and then go into closed session?
Oh, no,
It's a good idea.
we can do that one.
I don't know, make them wait.
All right, we can move on to G then, committee structure. Brought to us by Commissioner Wessel.
Yeah, thank you, and I notice it just says discussion only, but I think we have lots of work to do in the area of finance, in the areas of policy review, and in the area of HR. And we have 2 meetings a week, or a month, I mean, and I don't think that's enough to get our work done. I see us reviewing all our policies this year. And I see us really working hard on some HR challenges. And I think we've got the whole Raymond report that gave us recommendations on where we're going with finances, and we've got a new finance director. And I think we need to have a little bit more board work on HR, policy, and finance. And I would suggest that at the September meeting, we give serious thought to a committee structure. Doesn't take away the authority of the full board, but like we have one informal group now working on one policy, I think that takes a lot of time. And if we're going to review all the policies, we're never going to get our work done. And so I'm suggesting that we as a board talk about a committee structure and maybe we can look at the limits of those committees as well as the responsibility of those committees and come back and make a decision if that might be a good practice for the balance of the year. So that is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, well, are you thinking about something like the Park and Rec did, where they pick certain areas and they, like whether it's Miles Kimberly, they have a committee for that, they have a committee for Bronx Valley. You know, we did that with the commissioners, each one take certain sections of policies or something. I mean, or you want to do it as a.
I was thinking more formal. You all know I'm on the Community Mental Health Authority, and we've had major challenges, and we're in really good shape now. And I think it's because the board rolled up its sleeves and had a committee structure, and they're working well, and they're getting some things done. And it's still the full Community Mental Health Board that makes any decisions, but the committees come with recommendations. And I think we need a committee of commissioners to review policy, a committee of commissioners to dig really deep into finances and work with the treasurer and the finance director and that, and a committee of commissioners working on the climate issues, the HR issues, the staff recognition issues, the issues about how much we pay people. I mean, I think there's lots of work that's got to be done. And our exec committee meeting is not long enough to get that work done.
That's true. Not to do it as thoroughly as we should.
Because you were on, sorry, I'm next. I know at one time, the board, previous boards, and everyone here can speak to this probably except for you and me, but anyways, they worked more through a committee, through a committee system. And then that was frowned upon. And why was it frowned upon and why did
Well, going back to 2000, so we set up a committee to look at where we're going with the jail and the courthouse. We knew we needed to fix that, so they put 3 commissioners on that. And, you know, because it was an ongoing argument for eons, you know, as a committee of the whole. So then once we did that, then we started setting some parameters and, you know, these are our options, you know, and stuff. And then brought it back to the whole board made a decision. Committees didn't make any decisions, they just made recommendations. But by breaking it up, people could focus on that, because we're talking about this right now, in 2 minutes, we're talking about something else, and we've thrown what we talked about on the last topic out of our mind. And then we're waiting for the next meeting where I've got 9 other things we gotta look at. We never get back to where we should have started. So if we're focusing on a committee for a couple months where we go through this and we look at everything, and then we come back to the board and say, well, this is, you know, where we're at. It's a more thorough a job, but more thorough look. We're doing a broad brush over every month of everything that goes on. Then we're going to the next month and doing it again. So the committee structure might focus on some things and get things exactly where we want it, and then set a more policy.
Yeah, because I think we had to define the limits of the committee and the role of the committee very well. From initially, there was not full support on the Board of Commissioners to the committee structure. And you can't, they don't work unless we all agree they ought to work, I think. And then the other problem was there was some competition on who was on what committee. So it would have to be done right. And it have to be very structured and very limited in scope.
And that was like 4 or 5 years ago. Well,
3 years ago.
Because the finance committee used to be a big thing, I think, especially around budget time. And I'm not sure on the other committees, but I know that they had more prominent roles.
And the Personnel committee got caught up into the staff climate survey, and that also created some of the problems.
Okay.
So it wasn't done very well, and I was chair when it happened, it wasn't done very well.
Well, but even farther back, actually, when, there were, the committee made decisions and then they made recommendations, you know, or made recommendations, and then the board would change it, and people would, felt like they were, the committee was not being listened to, and so then they said, we have to do it as a committee of a whole. And so then we just basically did stop meeting about those things, we just did a regular. So those, that's why they stopped, whether it was the building and safety, the personnel committee was the biggest one, where we were, you know, they were appointing people to different committees, you know, whether it was, you know, the airport or whatever, and then this board would come and change it. And so then they said, well, we don't want to be there anymore. So it was a little bit of controversy about that. And so then it just came back to here, and then the committees have been pretty much disregarded.
And just one more thing, if we decide not to have committees, I will propose that we have one committee, the whole meeting a month, to handle issues of personnel, policy, and finance, because we need more work done. I think. We get bogged down in executive committee, we get tired before we get through the agenda. And I think we need a meeting a month on issues of finance, personnel, and policy, where we roll up our sleeves and really.
So I would support that. I'm not sure we would always need it, but yes, I would support that. I like the idea of,
More meetings?
well, I know, that's where but we would have another meeting anyway. It's better than being surprised by something another committee comes up with and not at the background.
Or always feeling you're behind, that you're just not caught up to where you need to be.
So if I can just throw out a recommendation here, I guess it's just, I mean, obviously we can't do any action necessarily, but it's just discussion only type of thing, but what we could have is maybe, I don't know, Commissioner Russell, if you want to break that up into 3 different committees and maybe create like a parameter of what they need to focus on and bring it back to the full board next week to kind of figure out, okay, is this what we want to go follow on? Or we could agree to that, move forward to next week, and we could set up these 3 committees or a committee of the whole, another meeting. And just, I think the key would be to set up parameters as to what each committee focuses on, so they don't get distracted with outside and going into realms they, you know, what Commissioner Russell said, part of that reason might have been the failure for some of that, where some of these committees were going beyond the scope of what their responsibilities were. And set those parameters very clear as to what their job is. But I do think, you know, I'm 100% on board with policy. You know, we can sit here and hash this out, but if we have a policy committee to kind of focus on that and iron a lot of that out, get it legal reviewed, all taken care of before it even comes here, that would eliminate a lot of time here, you know, where you get members to work that out. So I think there is benefit in that, in setting up that structure. So I don't know, just throwing a couple ideas out there as to what everybody thinks, I guess. Go ahead.
Can I just clarify?
If we have 3 committees, there are only 7 of us, which means some of us would be adding 2 meetings a month instead of 1.
Yeah.
No, we have to have 3, we have 2.
For example, I see on the,
I think we
on the
have
finance committee, I would see that being the treasurer and the finance director and a couple of commissioners. And the personnel committee, since there's only 1 HR person, probably three commissioners and the personnel director. I don't want to rush this, and again, I said it didn't work last time because I don't think we had full support. And so I think it'd be good to have some further discussion next week with this because I kind of sprang this. But then if we, let's not take action or anything next week. Let's talk about it. And see how comfortable everybody feels on it. I think the clerk's office staff is here to caution us about committees. We've heard that before. That was a problem.
Is that what?
No, it's just, I mean, I think Commissioner Wessel, when he was chairman, it was a meeting on Monday, executive on Tuesday, HR on Wednesday. I mean, and then recommendations were coming. So it was, and then now you're also going to budget. So I just was gonna clarify like what Chairman Yoder was saying. If you do the separate committees and you have this, and then, but the committee of the whole, I'm wondering if you look at the committee of the whole, which we have done, because finance then became the whole board. At the end, the finance committee became the full board, is like, what do you want to see on your agendas? Is it something that the committee of whole can have? The first agenda item is HR, the second is finance, the third is policies, and you're all prepared for one meeting and if everybody can attend, but as long as you have a, I'm sorry, my brain is losing it, a quorum, you know, then you would have recommendations being made. But I just know that from our experience in the clerk's office, yes, one meeting with everyone with an agenda full of all kinds of good stuff discussed to be reviewed and recommended to the board works really well.
How about we think about it all for a week, come back next week and discuss it more, and maybe we'll have brighter ideas.
Only in the winter.
So I'll take a motion to forward this on to next week, I guess, that's agenda item. So I have a motion for that.
So moved.
We have a motion for support. All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0, 5-6-0. Gwen and Ty.
Ms. Tech, thank you.
All right, review financials. Any questions? All right.
I had one and I wrote to Rio last night and she answered it this morning, so thank you.
Special reports. Seeing none, public comment, 5 minutes. Mr. Weezer?
Bill Wiesner, Elmwood Township. And for sure now, in order to have no fraud, there's no possibility to not have fraud unless we have one person, one ballot, one vote, one day. And here's why in this handout. This is from a 25-minute talk. I hope you'll all listen to it. I've already sent it into the county and requested that it be online. Every person in this county deserves to see this. It's called More Damning Dominion Emails. It's an interview between Emerald Robinson and Patrick Byrne. And Patrick Byrne is being sued by Dominion. So he gets access to all this extra information. In fact, the judges had him squelched for 3 years, said, you can't share that. She used to work in Venezuela for Maduro, okay? And so he just said, I'm not going to do that anymore. There's an obvious fraud, and he's exposing it in this 25 minutes. So there's a link on this. It's top. It's 15 pages of transcript in 25 minutes and 3 pages from Otter.ai, their view on putting it in a summary form. And it was just from 10 days ago, he put it out. And here's a little intro. He calls it, an importance is 10. I reveal more damning Dominion emails. Early morning, November 3rd, 2020, Dominion Denver is communicating with Dominion Serbia about uploading cartridges of ballot images into WinEDS. That's the corrupt little software they have on the computers, or at least one of the computers at every county. But later they lied, saying their systems leave the factory for counties with such security, not even Dominion can access them. And even if they could, they would have no capability of changing anything. And that all their developers are Americans with clearances in Venezuelan cheap packages, which is WIN EDS again, is not in their systems, but their emails show otherwise. And on, okay, page 3, it also shows the dirty election packages that the CIA has admitted that Venezuela developed. And page 4, it's got an email from Eric Coomer. And one of the persons that's it's sent to is Goran Oradovic. And he's in Serbia. He's like the head guy in Serbia on these elections. And he says, Eric says, we can set up the cartridges to load overnight and then, quote, come in. We can export and load WinReds as they come in. In other words, he's saying it's not really the votes that are coming in, it's what we've programmed to come in. On page 5, I think it is, yeah. It's got the history from Smartmatic to Sequoia in the United States. Then Sequoia had renamed it WIN EDS, and that was put on the Dominion machines too. And Dominion was started in the same offices or suite as George Soros is set up in Canada. And I do have a duplicate on page 6 just because it's talking about the same chart. So you see the same chart from Eric Coomer on page 4 and page 6. And this Gorban Oradovic from Serbia, he wrote an email that's incriminating of himself too. I'm going to stop there. There's a whole lot more in this. I hope you guys will read it. And I voted in Elmwood Township. I went up, I was a little discouraged. I said, I don't trust these machines. The guy, he says, oh, look here, put in your ballot. Okay, I'm watching. The number goes up 1. What does that tell? The whole thing's black. You can't see inside it. We have a simple solution. They do it in Arkansas and Missouri, and we can do it here. We need smaller precincts, though. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Mikowski?
Good afternoon again. We are fascinated by this long discussion about committees again. If I were a commissioner, I'd want to be present with everybody at the same place at the same time. So work sessions or committee of the whole only makes sense. Otherwise, you're condemning yourselves for all kinds of additional meetings, time, and discouraging the public from attending. The most effective is when our company was at 100 million sales 50 years ago, we had to build a new plant, duplicating everything in Traverse City. We had 700 employees in Traverse City. We did it with the same 9-member executive committee. The meetings lasted from 9 in the morning until they ended, sometimes 7 at night. But we did all that in the standard Monday morning meetings by all the people of that committee. And I think I see you people as being the same type of individuals. I'd want to hear everything that's discussed, and that requires very good meeting planning. It can be very effective. So I encourage you to discuss this some more and think about it. And think about the process as if you're adding meetings, a committee of the whole, once a month or whatever, with very specific results-oriented agenda, will get you through it. Otherwise, you will piddle around. I'm also astounded a little bit by the attitude of some of the commissioners changing what the public electors or the voters wanted you to do. We want to seem to be hiding things from the public. I don't recall any of you commissioners before you got elected to say you would withhold information from the public. And you did that today. And I see that as a very difficult thing for the public and the voters to understand. And perhaps it indicates that this secrecy can be cured perhaps by the electors or the voters declaring that some commissioners aren't fit for office and therefore a good recall may be in order. That's all. And so we need to think seriously about informing the public. That one-page document that was presented by Commissioner Campbell, I don't believe would have harmed anybody. And yet he would give the public an understanding, at least a basic understanding of what you have to deal with. But you chose as a group not to do that, which is very discouraging to us people who elected you. And I think they're raising questions about your needing to be in office, some of you. One final thing, we have not seen on the agenda again, the resolution for the apology by this group of people for the May 11th, 2021 bad decision. A lot of harm and damage was at that decision, and almost the whole 5 years of this time since then has been corrupted by that bad decision. The objective may have been sound, but the process turned out to be a problem, and it has affected every decision the commissioners have made since that date, including what has transpired with the decision to release the administrator from our employ. And I also urge caution as you go forward to settle down a little bit before you make a whole bunch of other decisions about how we go about solving the problems, which many of them require, as Mr. Wessel has suggested, a lot of work to do. Put some of those to bed by key meetings to get things done. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none. We'll provide a motion for closed session.
I gotta just read one thing that is, I think, when we went by commissioner comments, I looked up.
I didn't give commissioner comments yet.
Oh, I thought you
That'll
said
be
that.
after we come out.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, it just has to do with the capital.
Unless it's a special report.
No, I won't have a special report. I move that the Board of Commissioners enter closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268 I or 1E to consult with the county's insurance defense legal counsel regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with the pending litigation matter of McGregor versus Leelanau County, because an open meeting discussion would have a detrimental financial effect on the county's litigation or settlement position. Commissioner Rick Robbins will not be a part of the closed session due to a declared conflict of interest. I have a support.
Could I request the administrator and the sheriff be in there included as well?
Yeah, I would support that addition.
Okay.
If the second would also. Sure.
We'll go with the roll call.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Robson, Robbins abstains absent. Commissioner Walter,
Yes.
Commissioner Wessel,
Yes.
Chairman Yoder,
Yes.
Commissioner Alguier,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bunny.
Yes.
Passes 6-0.
One day.
Would the board need me for anything else today?
No.
Okay, thank you. Have a good
Thank you,
day.
sir.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Have a good
Stay
day.
away from bear spray.
Yeah. Okay, bear spray.
All right, you want to take a motion? Russell?
I move that we go out of closed session.
Support it. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Carried 6-0. Commissioner comments? Aye. Bell.
Got an early start on that one. I just pulled this up, so
Let me
just.
set my timer.
Yeah. See, time to cost us. And, well, just so this doesn't come back with changes, because it's, and take this for what you want, but there are some other, sites that came up with the same thing. County boards in Michigan typically review and approve capital improvement project plans, but they do not have the authority to unilaterally change them. Changes to the plan usually require a formal process involving planning commission. So I don't think we can just say, okay, we need to change some. I think there's a process, it's gotta go back to planning commission and then to us. Anyways. Rather than have it show up next week, changed.
I had a thought on the, just as we continue to think about the committee thing, which is a good idea, is we could do it all on the same day. Finish our meeting, take a break for lunch, come back. So we don't have another day committed. We would just lose one whole day. Because once you start talking about setting up another day,
We almost do now, right? So.
All our meetings are day long meetings.
Any other commissioner comments? All right, seeing none, approval of financials.
Yeah, I don't see any amendments or transfers. None. Okay, so I would make a motion that we approve claims and accounts for $196,986.78.
Support it. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those say nay. Motion carried 6-0.
I make a motion that we approve post audit $2,765,436.76.
Support. Support it. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those say nay. Motion carried 6-0. That adjourned.